Chapter 472. He finally understood everything. It was simple. Back then, Bao Jingxian and her father, Long Neng, went on a honeymoon. Bao Jingxian was pregnant, but Long Neng had something to do and left. Later, because she had a child, Bao Jingxian couldn't hide her demon aura, and was discovered by humans. After that, she found a small nest to give birth to the child, and went out to lure the enemy away. But everything was too late. When he and Long Neng returned, the babies were gone. The next day, Long Neng came. Wang Zhong met his father for the first time. He was a tall and mighty dragon warrior with an extremely abnormal physique. Wang Zhong's matter also attracted the attention of the dragon race. After testing, they found that Wang Zhong's dragon bloodline was even stronger. So Wang Zhong was recognized as a dragon. But for the fox race, they also announced that Wang Zhong was a fox race. After all, this was a matter of face. Not long after, Wang Zhong was taken to the dragon race by Long Neng for the bloodline inheritance. Half a year later, Wang Zhong returned. Not only did he activate his dragon bloodline, but he also activated his nine-tailed fox bloodline and successfully promoted it to eight-tailed power. His wife Meng Wei also reached eight-tailed under Wang Zhong's nourishment the following year. It's time to go to the human territory. Now that he was so powerful, there weren't many opponents in the world. Plus, he was a dragon in a fox race. Who would dare to provoke him? This time, Wang Zhong and Meng Wei went to the human territory together. When they passed by the border town, a slave stall on the street suddenly attracted Wang Zhong's attention. Wang Zhong frowned, because there was a familiar smell that attracted his attention. He walked in to take a look and was stunned. Song Wanyu was locked in an iron cage with disheveled hair and a dirty face. The broken bowl on the ground was full of spoiled food. She was so dirty that it was impossible to tell that she used to be a daughter of a noble family. "Sir, which slave have you taken a fancy to? The price is definitely suitable." A shopkeeper walked over and smiled respectfully. Wang Zhong frowned and pointed at Song Wanyu. "She, her? The ugly Song Wanyu. Ugly girl? Yes, look at her dirty body and face. She's been with us for almost half a year, but we haven't been able to sell her." Wang Zhong was furious. Song Wanyu was his childhood friend. He didn't expect things to turn out this way. Suppressing his anger, he asked, "How did she get here?" "This is the leader of the Iron Wolf mercenary group. He was captured a few days ago because he offended the Tang clan." "Very well. Disregarding human life. I've bought everyone here." Wang Zhong paid all the money without hesitation. When Song Wanyu saw Wang Zhong again, she was in a state of confusion. Atu! Song Wanyu cried. "Atu, I finally found you. Let's go to the inn and wash up." Wang Zhong took Song Wanyu back. On the way back, Meng Wei learned of Song Wanyu's identity from Wang Zhong. She sighed in her heart. She didn't expect this woman to be so pitiful. After bathing, Song Wanyu ate a drumstick while crying. "Atu, it's so delicious. I've never felt drumsticks taste so good." These days, she had been eating rotten food and had forgotten what drumsticks tasted like. "Eat slowly," Meng Wei said gently. "Thank you." Song Wanyu cried. "Did the Tang family cause you to become like this?" Wang Zhong asked with a frown. He had heard of the Tang clan. It was a relatively large clan in Border City. It's their eldest young master, Tang Xing originally. I led the Iron Wolf mercenary group in order to gain experience. During a mission, Tang Xing wanted to bully two girls in my team. Later on, we fell out with each other and were retaliated against. In order to not be bullied, I smeared some dirty things on my face so that I wouldn't be bullied. I'll help you." With a cold snort, Wang Zhong walked out. By the time he returned, Tang Xing's head was already on the road. Of course, the Tang clan was furious. They demanded a thorough investigation of who killed Tang Xing. Unfortunately, nothing was found. "Go back. I'll come back to see you." After the matter came to an end, Wang Zhong let Song Wanyu go home. Atu, you must come back." Song Wanyu left early in the morning. Next, they went straight to Zhongshan. The current Zhongshan was the same as before. It was a scene of joy and harmony. Wang Zhong asked Meng Wei to wait downstairs while he walked up the mountain. Everyone was very excited to see their old friends, especially eldest senior sister Zhou Yunxia and Shen Dai. The reunion of friends was especially happy. Wang Zhong also brought a lot of gifts for everyone. After chatting for a while, Wang Zhong also told them that he was married. After hearing the news, Shen Dai and Zhou Yunxia had mixed feelings. They didn't know what to say. After that, Wang Zhong brought the two of them to meet Meng Wei. However, he didn't promise them anything. He felt that it was better to let them slowly accept this reality. He liked the three girls very much. Although he had a big misunderstanding with Meng Wei in the beginning, they had now regarded each other as family. Naturally, there wouldn't be any problems. Time passed quietly. After playing here for more than 2 months, Wang Zhong went to the Song clan. He always remembered what Song Wanyu's father said when he was young. When the Song clan was in big trouble, a demon would save Song Wanyu. This was what some seniors of the Song clan had predicted through fortune-telling. Perhaps there were some inaccurate parts, but he had to believe it. Therefore, he went to the Song clan to see how they were doing. After he went there, he was relieved to find that the Song clan was doing well. However, after asking around, he found out that the Song clan was almost wiped out a while ago. It turned out that the Song clan had provoked a big clan nearby. This big clan took advantage of the fact that the Song clan was weak and wantonly bullied them. However, they didn't expect that a big demon would suddenly appear in the Song clan and save everyone in the Song clan. After understanding the cause and effect, Wang Zhong found out that the big clan was actually dealt with by the dog mother. Wang Zhong arrived at the small courtyard where Song Wanyu lived. The place had already been cleaned up. A plump old woman who looked to be in her 70s was currently cleaning the courtyard. Dog mother. Wang Zhong recognized the woman after smelling her scent. Ah too. The woman turned around and smiled. Dog mother, you can actually transform into a human form? Yes, I have to thank you. Thank me? Yes. After you and your parents were reunited, your father Long Nung found me and gave me a drop of dragon blood. This allowed me to break through. Now, I have become a powerful dog like the Song clan's patriarch. This, Wang Zhong didn't expect that his father had been here. Now, Wang Zhong understood that the big demon who saved everyone in the Song clan was not him, but the dog mother. Although the dog mother's fortune was because of him, the entire Song clan would have been wiped out if it weren't for her. After all, no matter how powerful he was, he wouldn't have been able to make it back in time. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, 10 years have passed. In these 10 years, Wang Zhong married Zhou Yunxia and Shen Dai one after another. In the end, he also got together with Song Wanyu. Now the family sometimes lived in the Zhongshan sect, and sometimes they went to the Fox clan. Life was very happy. As for Wang Zhong, because of his powerful strength, all the demons outside of the demon clan worshipped him. He had become a well-deserved big demon. Originally, Wang Zhong thought that he still had a long life ahead of him. After all, according to the lifespan of cultivators in this world, he estimated that he still had thousands of years to live. However, he didn't expect that one night, a mission notification would appear in front of him. Detected that the host has completed the mission and is returning. What? I'm returning already? Seeing the notification, Wang Zhong's eyes widened. In the past, he lived until he died of old age. Why did he return so early this time? After thinking about it, he guessed that it was because the system had been upgraded. In other words, the system was very different from before. Then if I return, what will happen to this world? He knew that this world was actually real, so Wang Zhong quickly asked. Unfortunately, no one answered. Only a cold notification sounded in his ears. Leave in 5 minutes. Only 5 minutes left. Wang Zhong looked at his wives on the bed and sighed in his heart. According to the normal flow of time, his departure meant that he had disappeared in this world. What about his wives? What about his family? Wang Zhong sighed in his heart, not knowing what to do. After thinking about it, he left a note by the bed. I'm going to do something. I'll be back soon. Don't worry. In a flash, Wang Zhong disappeared from the room. This time, Wang Zhong didn't close his eyes. He kept looking in front of him. He wanted to see how he transmigrated. When the white light shrouded him, Wang Zhong kept sensing his surroundings. Unfortunately, it was like an iron wall around him. He couldn't find anything. Back in his room, Wang Zhong looked around and sighed in his heart. My wives are gone again. A mission panel appeared in front of him. Mission character. Fox Atu mission objective. Marry the nine-tailed fox and become the king of the shifters. Complete it. Lifespan. 46 partners. For some of them are your childhood friends, some of them are your fellow disciples, and some of them are wives that you snatched. However, your relationship is now very stable. Offspring. 3. Your offspring didn't inherit your bloodline. Achievement evaluation. Your legend continues because you are not dead yet. Reward obtained. 56,798 experience points. The experience points this time are quite good. Looking at the panel in front of him, Wang Zhong was quite satisfied. However, when he thought of his many wives, he felt a little depressed. Would anything happen to them when he wasn't around? As he was thinking, another system notification appeared in front of him. Ding! Successfully unlocked 2 newly reborn creatures. Creature 1. The Great Beauty Yang Jiao. Mission objective. Sometimes being beautiful is a sin. Just because I'm beautiful, my sisters were jealous of me and ostracized me. When I was in school, because I was beautiful, the girls in my class were jealous of me and hated me. When I grew up, because I was beautiful, the boys in my class pestered me and pursued me. After work, because I was beautiful, my boss wanted to sleep with me. What should I do? I want to be a strong woman. I also want to pursue my own happiness. However, I don't dare to because I realize that I only like girls. I want to succeed. I want to marry a girl. Chapter 473. After looking at the first creature, Wang Zhong was almost scared to death. The beautiful young Jiao. Doesn't that mean I'm going to be reborn as a girl? When he thought about his period, how he had to carry 2 large buns every day, how he had to dress up as a girl, and be harassed by boys, Wang Zhong felt a wave of discomfort. No, I can't choose such a character even if I'm beaten to death. Wang Zhong cursed under his breath. Fortunately, he was given 2 choices. Wang Zhong looked at the second one. Creature 2 Nameless Soul. Mission objective. I don't know who I am. I only know that when I woke up, I was already in the wilderness. There were many of my kind around. They were all expressionless and wandered around the world. People call us wandering souls. One day, a man died in front of me. I found that I could have sex with him. He had a silly wife. If I want to completely control this body, I have to help his wife recover and become a normal person. In order to completely control this body, I must do this. I want to be reborn. I want to become a human. This reborn creature is a bit strange. Wang Zhong looked at the words nameless soul and couldn't help but complain. Wang Zhong already knew that there were souls in this world. However, he didn't expect that he would actually transmigrate into a soul this time. This was truly shocking. Since there was still some time to rest, Wang Zhong wasn't in a hurry to enter the game. Instead, he thought about this mission. First of all, he was sure that he would become a ghost this time. Then the problem was, would he have any weaknesses? If he met someone like a master, what should he do? There were a lot of questions. Thus, Wang Zhong went online to search for ways to deal with ghosts. According to these methods, he would be able to seek luck and avoid disaster. The next day, Wang Zhong went to a candlelight shop to see some masters. According to his understanding, these masters were said to be able to deal with ghosts. Wang Zhong didn't know if it was true or not, but it would be good to go and see. For several days, Wang Zhong spent almost all of his time here. He even asked many masters how to deal with ghosts. In order to understand these things, Wang Zhong even gave them a lot of money. These so-called masters were all very mysterious and unfathomable. But after a long time, they didn't even see the shadow of a ghost. Perhaps there aren't many such things in this world. In the end, Wang Zhong gave up on the search. That night, Shen Shuangshuang didn't cook. Instead, she said, "Brother Wang, Sister Lu said she would treat us to a meal. Eat. What are you doing for no reason?" Wang Zhong was puzzled. She said to thank you for the live stream last time. Wang Zhong chuckled in his heart. He guessed that Lu Jili wanted to beat around the bush and invite him to do a live broadcast or make a song for her. Unfortunately, There were no more missions of this type now, and he had already lost interest in this aspect. In the evening, the two of them stopped at the entrance of Lu Jili's filming location. As soon as they entered Lu Jili's house, the two little foxes hid in fear. Seeing these two little foxes, Wang Zhong's mind was in a trance. It was as if he had seen the scene from the past. Once upon a time, he was just like these two little foxes. At this time, for some reason, when the two little foxes saw Wang Zhong, they all rushed over and intimately rubbed against Wang Zhong's trousers. From time to time, they would make some intimate whimpering sounds. Lu Jili, who was closing the door, saw this scene and opened her mouth in surprise. Why are they so close to you? Maybe they like me? For some reason, Wang Zhong felt particularly close to these two little foxes when he saw them. He secretly thought to himself, maybe this is the after effect of transmigrating into a fox? This time, the meal was very relaxed. Lu Jili invited everyone to eat, not because she wanted to invite Wang Zhong to continue his live stream, but purely for everyone to gather together. After eating, Wang Zhong looked at the two little foxes, smiled faintly and whispered, "Unfortunately, they are not little monsters." The two little foxes seemed to understand and whimpered twice. "If you like them so much, why don't you raise them?" Lu Jili's figure appeared behind Wang Zhong. "I don't have time." Wang Zhong stood up and touched the fox's head. "Be good in the future. Miss Lu will take good care of you." Just as he was about to leave, the two little foxes suddenly quarreled. The two little foxes each bit Wang Zhong's left and right legs and kept tearing, as if they didn't want to let Wang Zhong go. "What are these two little guys doing?" Lu Jili said speechlessly. Wang Zhong smiled, thinking that the two little foxes were reluctant to let him go. However, when he looked carefully, the two little foxes suddenly cried. Crying, Wang Zhong was stunned for a moment. At first, he felt that it was a little unbelievable. He wanted to understand what was going on, but he didn't understand. Suddenly, he thought of experience points. That's right. Isn't EXP enough to buy everything in the game? Then I can totally buy the fox language, powerful hearing and smell. Although he didn't know if this would work, Wang Zhong still decided to give it a try. I want to buy fox language, hearing and smell. Ding! Requires 36,800 experience points. So expensive. This price was comparable to the elixir. However, looking at his experience points, he still had 80,000. Anyway, he still had a lot, so he bought it. Purchase successful. In an instant, Wang Zhong's body became hot. Oh, it's so hot. Because Lu Jili was the closest to her, she was shocked. But soon Wang Zhong recovered. Wang Zhong, did you just find something? Lu Jili looked around the room in horror and asked. What? It's very hot. Wang Zhong shook his head and said, You must be mistaken. He didn't want to pay attention to Lu Jili anymore, and looked down at the two foxes. Danger, master is in danger. Save her, save her. Hearing the two foxes' words, Wang Zhong looked at Lu Jili with a deep meaning. Lu Jili was in danger. What kind of danger could it be? He was very strange and looked around. There was no situation, so it meant that the danger was hidden in the dark. Leave here first and hide in the dark to observe. After making up his mind, Wang Zhong smiled and said, Then we'll go first. After leaving here, Wang Zhong let Shen Shuangshuang go back first. Seeing Wang Zhong's face suddenly not so good, Shen Shuangshuang was worried and said, Big brother Wang, are you okay? It's nothing, you go back first. Okay then. Shen Shuangshuang left. Wang Zhong walked on the road and looked up at the room where Lu Jili lived. Lu Jili was in danger. What happened to her? After looking at his surroundings, Wang Zhong leaped up and landed on the outer wall of the building. Under the night, his figure was small and inconspicuous. No one would have thought that a person would climb on the outer wall. Soon he climbed out of the window. The two little foxes were locked, but they were obviously very anxious and kept pulling the door as if they wanted to go out. Wang Zhong frowned. He just left. Where is Lu Jili? As if smelling the smell of Wang Zhong, the two little foxes turned their heads and looked at the screen. Big brother Wang, Big brother Wang. A bigger little fox repeatedly called out, Master, master is in danger. Wang Zhong frowned and said, How do you know that I can understand? We saw that you responded, so we knew that you could understand. In addition, you also have our smell on you. I'm really wondering whether you are a human or a fox. Wang Zhong chuckled. These two little foxes' words were really interesting. And then said, Tell me about your master. Why do you say that she is in danger? She seems to be sick. Every night she gets up from bed and walks around. The little fox said, No, it's not sick, it's evil. I can see that her face is dark. The little fox's words attracted Wang Zhong's attention. You can see evil things? Yes, I can't see very clearly, but I can feel that master's body temperature is very cold. That's your illusion. How can us foxes see these things? It's true, sometimes I can see. I don't believe it. Seeing that the two foxes were about to bite, Wang Zhong said helplessly, Be quiet. I'll go to Lu Jieli's place to have a look. Okay. Wang Zhong steadily leaned against the outer wall and came to Lu Jieli's bedroom. At the moment, there was no one in the bedroom, but there was the sound of a shower in the bathroom. Wang Zhong guessed that Lu Jieli was taking a shower and sighed in his heart. See no evil, I'd better wait outside. After waiting for a long time, Lu Jieli came out of the bathroom. She was wearing a white bathrobe, and as soon as she came out, she shook her wet hair looking very good. Then she sat on the bed with her computer and watched some live broadcasts. And after a long time, she was ready to rest. When she turned off the light, she yawned, walked to the window and muttered, Why does it feel like someone is staring at me? That night, Lu Jieli had been feeling uncomfortable in her heart, and she always felt that someone was staring at her, which made her very uncomfortable. Is it a psychological effect? She shook her head. She felt that it might be a psychological effect. Soon Lu Jieli fell asleep. To be honest, if he didn't sleep now, Wang Zhong would be so tired that he wanted to sleep. It looks like there's no problem. Wang Zhong was speechless for a moment, thinking that animals were animals. Although they were smart, they probably made a mistake. Just as he was about to leave, Lu Jieli suddenly sat up in the dark. Because of his extraordinary eyesight, Wang Zhong could clearly see Lu Jieli's expressionless eyes, staring straight at him through the window. Wang Zhong's heart thumped. Playing with birds, he was discovered. Chapter 474. Just when Wang Zhong thought that he had been discovered and was about to jump down, he realized that Lu Jieli seemed to be different. Although Lu Jieli's eyes were open, they were lifeless and did not blink. He did not know what was wrong with her. Lu Jieli slowly stood up and walked towards the door with lifeless eyes. She opened the door and walked towards the main entrance. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Fortunately, at this moment, the fox in the house seemed to have heard the movement and kept barking. Wang Zhong quickly reached out, and a large amount of spiritual energy poured into the house. Bang! The spiritual energy hit Lu Jieli's forehead. Lu Jieli cried out and covered her forehead. Then she looked around blankly. Why am I standing here? Lu Jieli shook her head and muttered, It seems that my sleepwalking is getting worse. So Lu Jieli has sleepwalking. Wang Zhong sighed in his heart. So that's how it is. After that, Lu Jieli went back to rest. Wang Zhong released a stream of spiritual energy at the door. This way, if Lu Jieli wanted to open the door, this stream of spiritual energy would hit her head. At that time, Lu Jieli would wake up. After returning home, Wang Zhong started to crazily watch horror movies. Through these movies, Wang Zhong learned about the things that ghosts were afraid of. Chicken blood, dog blood, glutinous rice, various talismans, gold, Buddha statues. Wang Zhong did not know if these things were useful, but he would give it a try. For the next few days, Wang Zhong studied these things. Finally, after 15 days, the system notified him. Entering game. Game is loading. Reincarnated creature. Nameless lonely soul creature resume. Nameless lonely soul died a long time ago. After death, his resentment did not dissipate, and he became a lonely soul. When he realized that he was a lonely soul, he wanted to become a human again, but he never had the chance. Mission objective. I want to restore my silly wife to a normal person. I want to be reborn. I want to become a human. This time, there was no white light in front of him. Wang Zhong stared at the area in front of him. He was now in the wilderness. Other than some trees, there was only a wide road in the distance. This place was obviously very far from the city center. There were no cars on the main road, let alone pedestrians. It was quiet all around. There were no tall buildings or houses, only the bleak cold wind and messy fallen leaves. After examining the surroundings, Wang Zhong looked at himself. His legs and feet were still there, but they were slightly floating in the air, as if he was walking on tiptoes. Furthermore, he could not feel anything all over his body, including heat and cold. This made him frown slightly, because he realized that he was really not human. He tiptoed around and looked behind him. A legless woman was walking expressionlessly. A child was lying on the ground, staring blankly at the sky. An old man was sitting in front of his tombstone, mumbling something. He seemed to be saying, "I don't want to drink, I don't want to drink." These were all in souls. Behind him, there was a large graveyard. Wang Zhong knocked on his head. It was a little strange, because he had no memory of the past. Who he was, how he came to be, how he died. There was no important information. Sure enough, I'm a nameless soul. I can't even remember my name. Wang Zhong recalled the mission prompt. The mission did say that he had no memory this time. Now that he was awake, it meant that he had changed from an ordinary incomplete soul to a proper soul. His ultimate goal now was to become a human, but it was obviously not going to work. According to the prompt, there would be a person who died in front of him. At that time, it would be time to possess that person. I don't know how long I have to wait. After sorting out his thoughts, Wang Zhong felt that it was necessary to figure out what he was afraid of, and what he could do. First, he looked at his tombstone. Taking a closer look, there was no tombstone. There was only a pile of yellow soil, and a straw mat where he was buried. Could it be that I was killed and casually buried here? The more Wang Zhong thought about it, the more likely it was because the other souls behind him had tombstones. Only the place where he was buried was flat, with only a cup of yellow soil and a straw mat. Looking at the clothes on his body, he was wearing a relatively ordinary t-shirt. It was obvious that he died by accident. Look at me. I'm only in my 20s. I died like this, sigh. Wang Zhong sighed and reached out to touch his face. He could touch it, but it was not the feeling of skin. It was a kind of invisible and untouchable gas. Then he touched his hand. It felt the same. He clapped his hands and tried to touch it. It felt like a gas. And as his strength deepened, the gas had a tendency to dissipate. But once he stopped clapping, the gray gas condensed together again. This body is really interesting. Wang Zhong did not expect the soul to be like this. Thinking about it, it seemed to be similar to the evil things he encountered in the world, where he could not live past the age of 21. It seems that the ghosts in every world are the same. After understanding his situation, Wang Zhong tried to touch something. He reached out to touch a stone, but unfortunately, his hand directly touched the stone, and there was no reaction at all. Can't I touch anything? Wang Zhong felt a little regretful, and then tried again. He touched the trees, grass, and pebbles. After trying one by one, Wang Zhong found that it was not that he could not touch anything, but that he did not have enough energy. For example, his legs could still move the stone when he stepped on it, because the soul power on his legs was strong. It seems that my soul power is too weak. Wang Zhong wasn't surprised by this. After all, he had just woken up, and his soul was indeed still in a very weak state. Then, the rest is to see if I can go to other places. Wang Zhong began to walk on tiptoe. In the ghost state, his speed was very slow. After walking for about 10 meters, a cold wind suddenly blew. Ho-ho-ho! In an instant, Wang Zhong felt that the soul power in his body was showing signs of dissipating. Wang Zhong suddenly felt a little stuffy in his chest. This feeling was a bit like being unable to breathe, even if he did not need to in his current state. Although it was very uncomfortable, Wang Zhong still gritted his teeth and persevered. He wanted to test his limit. Hoo-hoo-hoo! The cold wind blew again. Wang Zhong felt that his body was about to be blown away, and the gray soul was dissipating. Something is wrong. Wang Zhong quickly stepped back, and his body felt much better. It seems that I can't be too far away from the body. Wang Zhong frowned. and thought of the ghosts he encountered when he could not live past the age of 21. Those ghosts were both strong and weak. For example, the first time he met his half-sister, her soul could only be confined in the house because she was buried there, so she could not leave. My body is not far away, so I can't go too far away. On the other hand, I'm afraid it's also because of this place. Wang Zhong looked at the sky. Because there were many corpses buried in this place, the surrounding yin energy was very heavy, especially in the sky. There seemed to be a dark cloud covering this place. Coupled with the dense forest all around, the unique conditions made this place a place where yin energy gathered. In the world where he could not live past the age of 21, Wang Zhong remembered that ghosts seemed to be able to cultivate. A ghost that knew how to cultivate, by devouring souls, by absorbing the yin energy, became a powerful ghost. Thus they were not bound and could wander anywhere. Although he did not study how ghosts cultivated, Wang Zhong still had a general understanding. So he stood at the place where he was buried, and breathed in the yin energy around. After an unknown period of time, a ray of light rose in the sky. The sun was coming out. When a sliver of light shone on his body, Wang Zhong immediately felt uncomfortable all over. His originally solid soul power suddenly started to become erratic and erratic. It seems that I am very afraid of sunlight. Wang Zhong looked at the sky helplessly. His body moved, turned into a wisp of green smoke, and entered the tomb where he was buried. When Wang Zhong turned into green smoke, he was very surprised. He did not know when he learned this skill. After thinking about it, he thought it was an instinct. Just like how babies were born with the ability to blink and cry, it was also an instinct for him to turn into smoke and disappear. The temperature outside is so hot. Lying on the shabby straw mat, Wang Zhong could feel that his body had already decayed and turned into a skeleton, without any signs of life. With a thought, he wanted to absorb some yin energy to cultivate, but he found that he could not absorb any at all. It seems that the daytime also affects my cultivation. Forget it, let's rest first. Unknowingly, a day passed. The night looked very good, but there was no wind outside. Wang Zhong walked out and saw a few old neighbors. An old man, his tombstone was written, Tomb of Chen Zhouzi. An old woman, her tombstone was written, Tomb of Wang Shimei. There was also a child. His tombstone seemed to have been empty for a long time. The words on the tombstone had already turned into sand, and the writing was no longer clear. Chen Zhouzi, can you speak? Wang Zhong asked in boredom. And at the same time, he was absorbing the yin energy. The old man was still looking at the sky, expressionless. Sigh, why is he not speaking? Wang Zhong felt that it was a pity. At present, it seemed that he was the only yin spirit here that had gained consciousness. In this case, it was not possible for him to ask some questions. Then, Wang Zhong suddenly thought of a very important question. There were so many tombstones here. Why were they the only ones that had become yin spirits? Why were there no yin spirits on the other tombstones? What was the condition to become a yin spirit? Another boring night passed. Wang Zhong originally thought that he would leave soon after coming here. However, after half a year no one came. What happened to people saying that they would die here? Wang Zhong let out a long sigh. Suddenly, it started to rain heavily. In the distance, he saw a carriage coming quickly. Wang Zhong's eyes narrowed. This world was clearly the modern world. Why would a carriage come here? Chapter 475. Upon closer inspection, Wang Zhong discovered that there was something wrong with the carriage. A normal carriage would make a rumbling sound when it was running, but this carriage made a sound like the wind. This was a very strong gale, and the wind swept up the surrounding yellow sand and soil. One could faintly see the gray fog lingering around the carriage. At the same time, a surge of yin qi swept towards them. Wang Zhong could see that the dark clouds in the sky had become denser, and the surrounding area was almost airtight. Wang Zhong finally realized that this carriage didn't have a physical body, but was similar to the carriage of ghosts like them. At the front of the carriage, a man in a black robe was galloping towards them. At this moment, the old man who had been silently squatting beside his tombstone seemed to have sensed something and looked over. Chen Zhouzi, your time is up. The black-robed man on the carriage shouted angrily. Chen Josie was startled. Chen Josie raised his head and floated towards the black-robed man in a daze. In the blink of an eye, Chen Josie had arrived beside the carriage. Get in the car. The black-robed man's words were like an order. Chen Josie got in the car without saying a word. Wang Zhong didn't know the identity of this black-robed man, so he didn't dare to act rashly. Just as the black-robed man was about to leave, he suddenly looked in Wang Zhong's direction. Under the black robe was a face without eyes. His eyes seemed to be sealed by something, as if there was a lump of meat stuck to them. To think that there would be lonely souls in such a remote place. Could it be related to the things that have been smuggled out from below? The black-robed man muttered to himself. Suddenly, he jumped down from the carriage and walked towards Wang Zhong. What's your name? The black-robed man asked. Wang Zhong. He did not expect the other party to greet him. There were so many lonely souls behind him. So why did the other party only greet him? Strictly speaking, Wang Zhong did not want to have any contact with this black-robed man. This man was not simple, and he was afraid that his soul would be scattered. But since he's here, I might as well be smart. Sir, I only gained sentience a few days ago. I can tell. Sir, how can you tell? Your eyes. The black-robed man said. It's rare to see someone like you. It's perfect. What do you mean? Wang Zhong could tell that the black-robed man seemed to be interested in him, but he didn't know what his purpose was. Do you know who I am? Wang Zhong shook his head, thinking that these big shots all liked to ask questions when they spoke. Perhaps this was a kind of bad taste of the upper class. If one wanted to get along well, sometimes these bad tastes had to be satisfied with the upper class. I'm the emissary of hell. I'm here to deal with lonely souls like you who have reached the end of your lifespan. Emissary of the underworld. Wang Zhong somewhat understood. The other party should be a figure similar to the black and white Anitya Hell Guards. My lord, we're already lonely souls. How can we possibly have a lifespan? There are two types of souls. The first type is those who died in an accident before reaching the end of their lifespan. The second type is those who were smuggled in from below. All of you here died before reaching the end of your lifespan. This Chen Josie was poisoned to death by his wife when he was young. It was an accident, and he died before reaching the end of his lifespan. No wonder he kept saying that he didn't want to drink it. It turned out that he drank it and died. Wang Zhong thought for a moment and asked, he doesn't seem to have any consciousness. That's right. It's not easy for souls like you who died in the wilderness to gain consciousness. If you could meet someone, it would be much easier. Why? Because of popularity. The black-robed man's words were very mysterious, and Wang Zhong didn't understand at all. He could only ask again, my lord, you're the emissary of hell. Why do you only capture souls whose lifespan has reached the end of their lifespan? In Wang Zhong's opinion, all souls were the same, and that was to capture all of them. It was just like in the world where one couldn't live past the age of 21. If one died, one's soul would ascend. It was as if the two worlds were completely different. Humans have human rights and souls have soul rights. Here, only souls whose lifespan has reached the end of their lifespan will be released by us emissaries of hell, unless the soul has broken the law. Wang Zhong nodded. He understood. In this world, souls were the same as humans. If one died before reaching the end of their lifespan, they would still wander around the world. But if one harmed others, it was a different story. Thank you, my lord, for answering my questions, Wang Zhong said. Do you know why I'm telling you this? Wang Zhong shook his head. Because you're not bad. Please enlighten me, my lord. Wang Zhong raised his head. The other party clearly came with good intentions, which made Wang Zhong feel slightly relieved. We emissaries of hell enforce the law, and we can see some of the deeds of the dead when they were alive. I can see that you're a good person. So that's how it is. Wang Zhong felt relieved and quickly nodded. It's a pity that you were killed by a villain and saved someone you shouldn't have saved. Your death is too unjust. Otherwise, you would have lived for more than 100 years. I didn't expect to live for so long. Wang Zhong was secretly surprised, but soon he said helplessly, it's a pity that I can't remember anything about my life at all. I can't do anything about that, but I can let you live again. The emissary of hell took out an iron cube and asked, do you want to become an emissary of hell? This question stunned Wang Zhong. My lord, you mean to say that I want to become like you? Yes, but also wrong. I'm the emissary of hell. There are many emissaries of hell like you. Each emissary of hell is in charge of a part of the realm. Our responsibility is to maintain the peace and stability of souls in this world. We can't let souls do bad things, and we can't let souls get hurt. Do you understand? I understand. Emissaries of hell are also law enforcers. Wang Zhong understood in his heart. It should be equivalent to the relationship between the police and the deputy. Although emissaries of hell only seemed to be in charge of a part of the realm, they were still law enforcers. Wang Zhong immediately asked, My lord, can I really become an emissary of hell? What virtue do I have? I don't know anything. Sigh. The emissary of hell sighed and explained, Hell is orderly, and the mortal realm has laws. This rule has been established for a long time to ensure the peace of the two realms. But for some reason, the number of souls sneaking into the mortal realm has increased recently, and several secret passages have been discovered. I need to repair them. But when I leave, no one will be in charge of this area. That's why my lord found me. That's right. But there are conditions for finding you. The emissary of hell stretched out his hand. There was a tattoo on his hand that resembled an eye. The pupil of the eye was pure black, and it stared intently at Wang Zhong. This is the judgment eye. The judgment eye can devour any soul that has violated the law. However, it's very difficult to gain the recognition of the judgment eye. If you can't gain its recognition, you will die and your soul will dissipate. Then what do I have to do? I'll bring you to a place where you can work hard to survive. Are you willing? Wang Zhong frowned. He really wanted to become an emissary of hell. But from what the emissary of hell said, it seemed that this experience would be very difficult. I refuse. Wang Zhong thought for a long time. In any case, he was waiting here. When the time comes, someone will die here. When the time comes, he can just take care of him. There was no need to take the risk of becoming an emissary of hell. After hearing Wang Zhong's answer, the emissary of hell remained expressionless, and he slowly said, All right, let's go. Wait, didn't you say that my lifespan is not up yet? Why do you want me to go? Because you've already seen me. Hell is orderly and the law is ruthless. You know of my existence. Since you're not one of us, I have to take you down. Wang Zhong was a little helpless. It seemed that he was being forced to do something beyond his ability. In that case, I agree. I'm willing to become an emissary of hell. All right. The emissary of hell seemed to have already expected Wang Zhong's answer. He took out the Rubik's Cube and began to turn it. Soon, a black mist spread out from the Rubik's Cube. My lord, what should I do? At this time, Wang Zhong couldn't see anything. There wasn't even any wind around him. There was only a black mist left. You're undergoing a test. I can't give you too many hints. I can only tell you that once you succeed, you'll be an emissary of hell. Live well. Wang Zhong felt his entire body falling. His body was out of control and fell rapidly. Is this the second time I've transmigrated in this game? Wang Zhong thought helplessly. Bang! With a sound, Wang Zhong felt his entire body hit the ground. Chapter 476. After turning into a soul body, Wang Zhong was originally unable to feel anything on his body. However, the fall this time caused him to feel incomparable pain. It was not an ordinary pain. It was excruciating pain. What's going on? Wang Zhong held his head. Fortunately, there was light around him. He seemed to be in a room with circular walls. There was no door. In front of him, an old man with a white beard was staring at him. There's a newcomer. The old man smiled. Wang Zhong stood up, shook his head and asked, What's going on? This is a prison. Prison? Yes, hunger prison. Hunger prison. Wang Zhong looked at the two numbers painted with white paint on the wall behind the old man. 51. It was only then that he noticed that although this place was surrounded by iron walls, there was a huge circular crater in the middle of it. What is going on? Wang Zhong looked at his hand. Now he was no longer a soul. He had a real physical body. Why is it called hunger prison? Wang Zhong looked at the only living person here, the old man with a white beard. The old man with the white beard did not seem to be in a good mental state. He was thin as if he had been starving for a long time. His hair and body had not bathed for a long time. His whole body was emitting a foul smell. Because we are on the 51st floor. The old man with the white beard pointed above. There was not much food on this floor. We are on the 51st floor. Is there another 50 floors above us? What do you think? There is not much food here. Young man, I see that you are still young, so I kindly remind you. This is a huge prison pit. No one will protect you here. Every day, piles of food will be lowered from the top through the elevator. The people on the first floor eat first, then the second floor, the third floor. Hearing this, Wang Zhong's expression turned ugly. There are 2 people on each floor. Doesn't that mean we are almost out of food on this floor? This is the hunger prison. So young man, our problem is, what do we eat every day? You've lived here for so long, you should have a way, right? Wang Zhong said seriously. Don't worry. We're on the 51st floor. Although it's a bit far from the top floor, it's still better than the 99th floor. It's just that we're eating some leftovers. No wonder it's called the hunger prison. But I'm curious, have you been to the 99th floor before? How do you know there are 99 floors here? Someone has been there. I heard it from him. There shouldn't be any food there, right? The white-bearded old man replied. That's hard to say. If something happens on some floors, some people will die. When that happens, there will be food. While the white-bearded old man was talking, Wang Zhong had already walked to the edge of the huge pit. Looking down, the bottom was bottomless, but there was another room like there's 5 meters away. 2 people were pacing back and forth there, seemingly worried. Further down, it was 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters. Every 5 meters, there was a round room that looked exactly the same. This place was like a huge prison stacked on top of each other. Gloominess, depression, filth, and despair filled the entire building. Wang Zhong understood that if he wanted to find a way to survive here, the first thing he needed was food. No one has left here? Wang Zhong asked the white-bearded old man. Left? Hee. The white-bearded old man laughed and pointed to the top. You can't climb up, but it's easy to go down. You can jump down, but you'll probably fall to your death on the 99th floor. Right, there's one more thing to remind you. Every month we'll change floors. Pray that we don't go to the lower floors. It's not good there. With that, a rumbling sound came from the top floor. Ha ha ha, there's food, there's food. Surprised laughter came from the top floor. Finally, there's food. The white-bearded old man looked up in surprise. He put his hands together and suddenly prayed. I hope they don't eat too much. I hope they don't eat too much. Wang Zhong felt that what the white-bearded old man was doing was completely useless. He tried to use the spiritual power in his body, but unfortunately, his body was not his, so there was no effect. What kind of world is this? Wang Zhong touched the hard stone floor. He clearly remembered that there was a Rubik's Cube in front of him. Then, the Rubik's Cube emitted a force, and then he didn't know what happened. Am I inside that Rubik's Cube? While he was thinking, the elevator on the top floor began to descend. The elevator would stay for about 6 minutes on each floor. After 6 minutes, whether you were full or not, the elevator would descend. Wang Zhong didn't know how long he waited. Just as he was feeling more and more hungry, the loud roar of the elevator finally came closer. It's here. The white-bearded old man smiled excitedly. The moment the elevator descended, he pounced on it. However, Wang Zhong didn't move. It was not that he wasn't hungry, but the pile of food in front of him could no longer be called food. This pile was clearly trash. There were chicken bones, fish bones, large pieces of beef and lamb bones that had been eaten cleanly, as well as canned food and vegetables. Countless leftover dishes and food were piled up together, making it impossible for Wang Zhong to eat them. How could he eat this? The bones in front of him, and some canned food still had a lot of food residue in them. If he looked carefully, he could actually find some food to eat. But these were all eaten by others. Should he pick up the chicken bones and fish bones that others had eaten? Although there was a lot of leftover meat on these bones, and some of the meat on the bones seemed to have been bitten, Wang Zhong still felt a little uncomfortable. Munch munch. While Wang Zhong was thinking, the white-bearded old man gorged himself. While gnawing on half a bone, he grabbed the champagne on the table and drank it. It's so delicious. There's actually such a big mouthful left. I'm in luck this time, ha ha ha. The white-bearded old man laughed, then turned to Wang Zhong and said, Don't think it's dirty. If you don't eat now, you'll starve to death in a few days. After he finished speaking, the white-bearded old man threw half a piece of bread at Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong immediately caught the bread. There were bite marks on the bread. If this was outside, he probably wouldn't even look at this kind of food. But here there was no food. If he didn't eat, what awaited him was starvation. Maybe this is a test. I must survive. Without any hesitation, Wang Zhong bit into the cake. This piece of cake wasn't big, so he ate it in one bite. Then Wang Zhong went to the platform, picked up a few bones that looked like they had a lot of meat, and ate them. Then he took a bottle of water from the table and gulped it down. He was indeed starving. 6 minutes later, with a rumbling sound, the elevator began to slowly descend. Wang Zhong hurriedly jumped out and grabbed the 2 drumsticks and bread in his hands, preparing to keep them for later consumption. But at this time, his whole body suddenly heated up. The white-bearded old man looked at Wang Zhong with disdain and sneered. Are you feeling hot? Yes, why is this? Wang Zhong fanned his clothes, puzzled. Because this is the rule. You hid food. If you don't take it out, we will all be burned to death. Wang Zhong looked at the food in his hand strangely. There are rules. Feeling his body getting hotter and hotter, Wang Zhong had no choice but to throw the food down. The white-bearded old man ate the last piece of meat in disdain. He then wiped his mouth and spat on the ground. Wang Zhong couldn't understand why the white-bearded old man spat. Although they were prisoners here, did he throw away the most basic thing? Seeing Wang Zhong looking at him suspiciously, the white-bearded old man said disdainfully, Tisk, it's just spitting. Is there a need for that? The people below are all low-class people. They can't do anything to us. But what if the people above spit in the food? My answer just now is also suitable for your question. In that case, we are all low-class people. We can't do anything to them. The white-bearded old man shrugged. After eating and drinking, he seemed to be satisfied with the conditions here. He went straight to the bed and said, Live a peaceful life. We still have to live here for a month. Although there is not much food on the 51st floor, at least you won't starve. I want to leave here. Looking at the white-bearded old man who was ready to rest, Wang Zhong said. He had thought about it. Since this was a test for him, staying here was definitely not a solution. He had to leave here and obtain freedom. Otherwise, he would only be waiting for death. Leave? Hee, you are dreaming. There is no way out. Can you tell me how you came in? Wang Zhong asked again. How did I come in? Facing Wang Zhong's question, the white-bearded old man was in deep thought, which was rare. How did I come in? This is a good question. How did I come in? How did I come in? He kept muttering as if he had fallen into an endless loop. Pa! The lights suddenly went out. Wang Zhong looked up. The light on the highest floor was very bright. The lower the floor, the dimmer the light. After the 80th floor, the lights were completely extinguished. He could vaguely hear some people on the upper and lower floors talking about something. He was now thinking about where the exit was. After an unknown amount of time, the elevator below began to rise at an unimaginable speed, before finally disappearing from the first floor. Seeing this, Wang Zhong understood. After the food was eaten, the elevator would go up. In other words, the exit was on the first floor. The food was also placed there. In other words, if I want to leave here, I have to go to the first floor. Huff, 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 the white-bearded old man snored. He seemed to be very satisfied with the current situation. Chapter 477. In the small room, the old man with the white beard was already asleep. There were only 2 simple beds, and a simple sink in the room. Drinking water was not a problem. There was also a toilet and a mirror. Other than that, there was nothing else. Wang Zhong thought about how to go up. If he wanted to climb up, he needed to use tools. However, he had nothing on hand. The first thing he thought of was the food elevator. In theory, he could sit on the elevator and follow it to the bottom floor. When the time came, he could follow the elevator to the first floor. However, that was too simple. What was waiting for him on the top floor? Would the people on the top allow him to go up? The next day, the food elevator appeared in front of him again. The old man with the white beard had been waiting for a long time. The moment he saw the food, he pounced on it. Ha ha ha, we are in luck today. There are 2 bottles of wine. Oh my god, there is also seafood. He picked up a bottle of red wine and drank it. He said to Wang Zhong, I guess the people on the top floor do not like to drink. Didn't they have an extra bottle of wine yesterday? Wang Zhong did not reply. He ate a piece of bread. For the next few days, Wang Zhong ate as he thought about how to go up. Finally, on the 20th day, Wang Zhong explained his plan. You are crazy. If you want to go down, you will die. The old man pointed at Wang Zhong. Young man, I am doing this for your own good. Why do you say that? Humph, do you know who is down there? Although the food on the elevator is enough for all of us, the people on the top always eat more. By the time we reach the bottom, there is no food. After such a long time, the people below are hungry. Hungry people can do anything. But this is also a way to leave, Wang Zhong said. The people below will kill you, the old man warned. Wang Zhong furrowed his brows. After coming here, the first thing he felt was that his strength had weakened. It could be said that he didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. Although he had some combat knowledge, if he could deal with 1 or 2 people, what about 10 or 20 people? You said there's enough food on the lift for all of us? The old man shrugged and said, Of course. Unfortunately, the people up there are always greedy. They would rather throw it away, eat until they are full, and eat until they can't walk. So don't think too much. Just eat. Ah! At this moment a blood-curdling scream came from an unknown floor below. The scream became softer and softer. Wang Zhong looked over. It seemed like someone had jumped down. Someone jumped down, Wang Zhong said. I know. Later on, some people won't be able to bear the hunger. Rest well. We don't know which floor we'll appear on next month. Wang Zhong didn't trust the old man's words, but he still sat back down and thought about going to the other levels to take a look. A month passed quietly. On the last day of the month, a white mist suddenly floated into the room. Chi chi chi. We'll have to move to another floor. Let's pray that we'll be able to live in a better place. The old man put his palms together and closed his eyes. In a daze, Wang Zhong fell asleep. A bone-piercing cold woke him up. When he opened his eyes, he saw the white-bearded old man's enlarged face. You're awake. The white-bearded old man noticed that Wang Zhong had woken up. He seemed a little disappointed and retreated in fear. He wants to kill me. The moment he opened his eyes, Wang Zhong could clearly feel the killing intent from the white-bearded old man. However, he didn't say much. He looked up at the ceiling. The floor above made his expression change. 93rd floor. Not very lucky. The white-bearded old man's expression didn't look good. This is the lowest floor I've ever been to. I'm afraid there's no food here, right? Wang Zhong asked. That's right. The people above will eat all the food. As they were talking, a person suddenly jumped down from above. There was a scream. This was another person who knew that he wouldn't be able to survive this month. So he committed suicide. Wang Zhong looked down. It was dark below. He couldn't see anything at all. I'm afraid there's more than 99 floors. It's over. We're finished. There's no food on the 70th or 80th floor. We'll starve to death here. The white-bearded old man hugged his knees. He didn't look good. From time to time, he would look in Wang Zhong's direction. The old man's gaze made him very uncomfortable. Wang Zhong was secretly vigilant. I'll kill you. At this moment, 2 people on the next floor suddenly started fighting. The 2 of them fought fiercely. Soon, a strong man gained the upper hand. He pressed down on the thin man and waved his fists desperately. Soon, this person's head was bleeding. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Why are they fighting? Looking at the 2 people below, Wang Zhong felt a little strange. Who knows? The people here are often like this. They fight for no reason. The white-bearded old man looked at the 2 people below with a gloomy expression. Wang Zhong could tell that he seemed to know something. However, he shook his head and said, I don't know either. Is that so? Forget it if you don't know. Although Wang Qing said so, he was secretly vigilant. On this day, the lift took a long time to arrive in front of him. The old man stood in front of the lift and kept rummaging through the pots and pans on the lift table. However, no matter how much he searched, he couldn't find any delicious food. He couldn't even find any rice. Every pot and pans had been licked clean. Seeing this scene, the old man angrily roared at the people above. "Can't you leave a bite for an old man like me? F***ck. What are we supposed to eat if you lick it so clean?" Wang Zhong didn't say a word. He walked to the faucet and drank a mouthful of water. He was thinking about how to spend the next month. If he only drank water, he could at most last for half a month. But what about the days after that? Night soon came. It was pitch black in the darkness. Wang Zhong was now used to the darkness. Just like that, 5 days passed. Hunger was like ants gnawing at meat in his stomach. He didn't have it easy, but the old man had it even worse. Every time the lift came down, he would lick the pots and pans on the table. Unfortunately, he couldn't eat anything. The person on the lower floor was living quite comfortably. He killed his roommate and drank Maoru's blood every day. He was finally not afraid of hunger. However, Wang Zhong didn't want to live like this. On this day, it was late at night. In the dark room, Wang Zhong couldn't sleep. At this time, from the corner of his eye, he saw a rustling sound quietly behind him. Whoosh! The white-bearded old man held a piece of broken glass in his hand and stabbed it straight at Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong, who was used to the darkness, could vaguely see the shadow. He immediately stood up and kicked the shadow. Ah! The white-bearded old man fell to the ground and wailed in pain. He seemed to have broken his bones and couldn't stand up. Wang Zhong frowned and came in front of him. After confirming that he couldn't stand up, he picked up the piece of glass. This piece of glass should have been smashed when he lived on a certain floor. After that, he had been hiding it on his body. My bones seem to be broken. I'm finished. I'm finished. The old man screamed and couldn't stand up at all. You want to eat me? Wang Zhong said solemnly. Hee, I don't want to. It's all to live. People on this floor will die if they don't do it. Even if I don't do it, after 10 days, you will be hungry. The way you look at me will be different. I've experienced that kind of life. I know it very well. And I'm old. When you want to attack me, I can't kill you. So you attacked me. Yes, kill me. The white-bearded old man said miserably. My bones are broken. I can't live anymore. Wang Zhong nodded and stabbed him without hesitation. The old man's vitality slowly disappeared. He reached out to grab Wang Zhong and murmured, Now you can eat me. If he wanted to live, he could only do this. This was the old man's thought. Wang Zhong walked to the edge of the pool and stared at the corpse. He didn't know how long it took, but he fell asleep. The screams woke him up. Another person fell down and landed at the bottom. Wang Zhong drank another mouthful of water. For the entire day, he had maintained a motionless posture in order to reduce his energy consumption. Rumble, the lift came down again. He didn't know how many days it had been, because he didn't count. He came to the table and looked at the things on the table. He sighed. As expected, there was no food. Walala. Wang Zhong angrily threw a bunch of bowls on the ground and then lay on the ground. There was no food. He felt like he was going to starve to death. Was he really going to die here? Or should he say, eat meat? He didn't want to eat. Everyone had a bottom line. Wang Zhong didn't think that he was a good person, but he still couldn't do such a thing. He drank another mouthful of water. At this time, he was a little dizzy. Excessive hunger made him hallucinate. On the pool, a cockroach suddenly crawled out from a crack in the stone. Cockroach. As if he saw the most delicious food in the world, Wang Zhong quickly grabbed the cockroach and swallowed it without hesitation. It was too delicious. After chewing a few times, Wang Zhong ate the cockroach. His stomach was still hungry. He blacked out and fainted. 20 days had passed. Wang Zhong felt that he was so hungry that he lost consciousness. Or maybe he was going to die. He couldn't feel his hands and feet, and he couldn't smell. His vision was blurry. However, his sense of smell was still there. Vaguely, he smelled a foul smell. It was the smell of rotting corpses. Especially his face. It seemed like something was crawling. Wang Zhong used his last bit of strength and reached out to touch his face. It seemed to be a maggot. Wang Zhong was overjoyed. There was food. But where did the maggot come from? He tried to open his eyes. He wanted to find the source of the maggot. Chapter 478. What he saw was still the white-bearded old man's corpse. The corpse had already rotted, and some maggots were crawling out of the corpse. Wang Zhong felt a little nauseous, but fortunately, he had survived so many lives, so he could still endure this nausea. But the problem was that it had only been 10 days. Theoretically, maggots shouldn't have come out of the corpse so quickly. Why? Maybe this is also the rule here. Wang Zhong murmured. Now that he had so much protein, he picked up all the worms and put them in a bowl, then took them to the tap to wash them clean. These maggots were very fat and abnormally thick. When he bit them, his mouth would be full of juice. Needless to say, in such a hungry state, it was quite delicious to eat. For the next few days, Wang Zhong ate these things. Finally, after waking up one day, Wang Zhong found that the number on the wall had changed. The number became 3. Wang Zhong smiled. He was actually in 3rd place. What did this mean? It meant endless amounts of food. And surprisingly, there was a little girl in the prison. This little girl was very beautiful, and she was holding a doll in her hand. Hello, the little girl said. Why are you here? Wang Zhong didn't understand. In his opinion, those who could appear in this place were a group of vicious people. I came here voluntarily. It seems that my luck is not bad. The first time I came here, I'm already here. The little girl looked very talkative. She looked to be about 20 years old, with 2 cute ponytails. She was at a good age. But Wang Zhong didn't understand why she came here voluntarily. Seeing Wang Zhong's puzzlement, the girl said, I know this place, and I sympathize with you, so I came here. I want you to change the rules. How? Wang Zhong's interest was piqued. The food in this place is fixed every day. As far as I know, there are more than 100 levels, but the people on the upper level tend to eat greedily. When you go down one level, there is basically no food at the bottom. The girl shook her cute ponytail and sighed. So I came here. I want to change these rules. Wang Zhong looked at him, as if he was looking at an idiot. Then I'm curious, how do you want to change it? It's very simple. Our luck is pretty good. On the 3rd floor, after we eat the food, we distribute the food so that it's enough for the people on the 4th floor. Then, we get the people on the 4th floor to distribute the food so that the people on the 5th floor can eat. As long as everyone does this, no one will be greedy anymore. Wang Zhong was even more speechless. The girl's idea was good, but she was too idealistic. She had said that everyone was greedy. Why would she think that the people below would obediently eat their own share? When food was placed in front of one's eyes, and there was no limit to how much one could eat, everyone would only ask and not eat the prescribed portion. Wang Zhong tried to explain to her, but at this moment, the elevator platform descended, and the 2 people on the 2nd floor began to wolf down their food. The food on this floor was very sumptuous. There was Australian lobster from the sea, delicious caviar, and delicious beef. The 2 of them took a bite of the lobster, and then tore off a large piece of beef. They ate until their mouths were full of oil, but the food was all ruined. At this moment the girl shouted up, The 2 of you listen up. You've already eaten a lot. Everyone eat the appropriate amount, and leave it for the people below, okay? The 2 of them kept eating. One of them looked at the girl in a daze, then ignored her and ate crazily again. Look, they're ignoring you, Wang Zhong said. It's okay. Today is the first day of the month. They might have just come from the bottom floor, so they want to eat more. In a few days, we'll definitely be able to reform them. The elevator finally arrived in front of them. Wang Zhong, who had not eaten for a few days, ate a drumstick, but when he was about to eat again, the girl stopped him. You said you'll only eat what you have. With that, she only ate an apple, and then used a bowl to arrange the food. The elevator went down quickly. When it reached the bottom, the 2 of them wolfed down the food again. The girl hurriedly shouted, I've divided the food for you. You only eat what's in the bowl. When you go down, distribute the food again. Please. The girl's words were ignored. The people below were still wolfing down the food. Why is it like this? The girl hugged the teddy bear in her arms in disbelief. The people below finally finished eating. A woman glanced at the girl in disdain and said, "You people on the upper floor ate so much. Why did you ask us to eat less?" The girl defended herself. "But I didn't eat much. I kept my words." "Then you're really an idiot. If I were in your position, I would definitely eat until I'm full. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste of my position?" The woman smiled disdainfully. She seemed to be full. She happily lay down on her sleeping place and said leisurely, "But my position on the fourth floor is also very good. It feels good to eat and drink to my heart's content." Wang Zhong said expressionlessly, "Look, no one listens to you." "No, maybe they're starving too. That's why they're like this. In a few days they'll be fine." Although the girl still said so, her words were not as firm as before. The second day, the third day, the fourth day passed. The people on the upper and lower levels were still doing as they pleased. They wolfed down the food desperately. Now even Wang Zhong did not listen to her. He basically ate whatever there was. Every day, the girl would routinely shout, hoping that everyone would not eat so much, and leave it for the people below. As long as the food was distributed well, everyone would have something to eat, and no one would starve to death. Unfortunately, the people below responded to her with, "As a person on the upper floor, why should I leave food for the people below? What does the life and death of those people have to do with me?" The girl was desperate. On the 15th day, she had given up persuading. "How is it?" On this day, Wang Zhong was full again. He stared at the girl and said, "Your way of thinking is too idealistic. The rules are not that easy to break." "Is that so? But I've clearly thought about it. As long as you do as I say, everyone can survive." The girl said and cried. Wang Zhong did not know what to say at this moment, but he suddenly thought of a very important point. That was, if he wanted to survive here, since he could not climb up, could he change the rules here to let himself survive? This time, he lived happily on the third floor. But what if he ran to the 100th floor? Would he still survive by eating maggots? What if there were no corpses? Needless to say, he would definitely die. But if he changed the rules here, it would be different. "I've thought of something," Wang Zhong suddenly said. "What?" The girl did not understand. "Your idea of changing the rules is indeed good. But human nature is greedy. When there are no rules, they will do everything they can to get. So I think we should set a rule for your idea." "Rules?" the girl muttered. "My idea has no rules?" "Yes, you are only trying to influence them through words, but it is useless." "Then what should I do?" "You need violence. All the rules in this world are built on violence. There are many kinds of violence. Deterrence with weapons, deterrence with words, and finally violence. If you want to establish rules here, you have to do that." "No, how can you beat people?" The girl shook her head again. Wang Zhong did not say anything. He was thinking about the next step of the plan. Time passed day by day. When he woke up one day, he opened his eyes and suddenly felt a chill in his heart. The number in front of him was 188. This number was terrifying. This time he was definitely going to die. Wang Zhong knew. "Goodbye." Just then, the girl's voice sounded from behind him. Unknowingly, she had tied her clothes to a rope and tied it to the ceiling. After stepping on the bed, she smiled at Wang Zhong and said, "My thoughts are indeed too simple. Relying on kindness won't allow me to establish rules. I can only rely on you. I hope that you can rely on my body to continue living." With that, the girl jumped off the bed. The rope immediately tightened around her neck. Wang Zhong did not choose to save her. Instead, he looked at the girl's appearance before she died and sighed. "Don't worry. I will establish the rules that you imagined." The girl was dead. It wasn't that he didn't want to save her. Rather, there was no need to. He now understood that the lower the status of a person, the more they couldn't survive. If two people lived together, it meant that they would die together. And if he wanted to survive, he could only rely on the girl's corpse. This was one of the rules of this world. What he had to do now was to break the rules. Perhaps this is the test this time. Wang Zhong looked up at the countless floors above him. Perhaps the test that the emissary of hell was referring to was the establishment of rules. This was also what hell had to do in the mortal realm. Every hell official had to deal with evil ghosts. These evil ghosts might have suffered all kinds of grievances, suffered all kinds of hardships, and were even pitiful. But did this mean that he had to break the rules and let these other worldly items go? If he did so, he might just become the girl who had committed suicide. The girl actually represented the group of kind-hearted people. She was a Virgin Mary, who thought that she could save the world and everyone. When a death row prisoner was faced with the death penalty, there would always be a group of people who would stand up and say that this was inhumane and oppressive. They would always stand on the moral high ground and say so. But hell couldn't do so. This was the rule. Their rule was violence. Only by instilling fear in others could they establish rules. Wang Zhong was suddenly enlightened. He smiled. I understand. As an emissary of hell, I should handle cases according to the rules of hell. I shouldn't sympathize with anyone, and I shouldn't let any ghosts go. Unfortunately, although he had thought it through, the test wasn't over yet. Wang Zhong wasn't surprised by this. After all, although he had thought it through, it didn't mean that he had the ability to establish rules. Next, it was time to establish the rules. Chapter 479. Maggots wriggled on the ground. More and more maggots fell from the girl's body, which was still hanging. Wang Zhong understood that the maggots were growing too quickly. After all, only 10 days had passed. But this was also one of the rules here. The bottom level of the starvation prison seemed to have no way out. But there was an invisible rule, which was to kill each other. A month passed quickly. When Wang Zhong woke up again, he was on the 10th level. This time, his cellmate was a skinny boy. He shouted happily, "Great, it's the 10th level, the 10th level." Looking at his surroundings, Wang Zhong seemed to have understood something. "I know. This month he'll be in the upper levels. Next month he'll be in the lower levels. In other words, one of us will die next month." "What are you talking about?" The boy turned his head. "What's your name?" Wang Zhong asked. Wenqi. Wenqi smiled. The 10th level is considered the upper level. We don't have to worry about food. But next month we will appear on the lower level. We will starve to death. How do you know? Wenqi's face was a little ugly. Because this is my experience during this period of time. Then, Wang Zhong told him his opinion. This month on the upper level, next month on the lower level, we will have no food. Wenqi's face turned ugly. Then what should we do? We can only live for a month. At this time he suddenly thought of something. Don't worry, we can leave here. He took out a rope from under the bed like a magic trick. When I came in, I brought the rope in. Let's climb up and leave here. The girl from before brought in a doll, and this person brought in a rope. Wang Zhong felt that this prison was not very strict. But this was probably one of the rules. Then, Wenqi shouted to the person on the upper level. Can you help me? I will throw the rope to you. Pull me up. The person on the upper level looked at him like he was an idiot, but he said, okay. Look, they are good people. Wenqi threw the rope to him. But the next moment, the person threw the rope down. The rope fell to the bottom level. What are you doing? Wenqi shouted angrily. Ha ha ha, idiot, if you want to come to the upper levels, then what are we going to eat? Scram. The person above sneered at him. Wenqi cursed. Why is it like this? It's normal. Wang Zhong patted his shoulder. Follow my plan. Next, it's time for us to establish the rules. Although this Wenqi was thin and weak, at least he didn't look like the kind of person who would stab you in the back. Moreover, he had the desire to climb up the social ladder. This kind of person was very suitable to be a reformer. After listening to Wang Zhong's plan, Wenqi agreed as expected. The veins on his forehead bulged as he clenched his fists and said, We'll do as you say. We must establish rules here. Wang Zhong nodded and began to dismantle the iron rod on the iron bed behind him. Wenqi also began to work. Finally, the lift arrived in front of them. The two of them first ate something, then jumped up. The lift began to descend. When they saw Wang Zhong and Wenqi, the people on the 11th floor were stunned. Wang Zhong coldly said, Everyone, eat 3 mouthfuls of food. If anyone doesn't listen, then they will die. This was the food that Wang Zhong distributed to everyone. The iron rod was a weapon and words were a deterrent. If these two things didn't work, Then they would kill the other party. This way the rules could be maintained. Once this rule was established, even if it was next month, everyone would remember this rule. If anyone dared to disobey, then they would be dealt with next month. Looking at the weapons in their hands, the two people on this floor didn't dare to disobey, but they felt very uncomfortable. They came to the 12th floor, 13th floor, 14th floor, floor by floor. The people on each floor stared angrily at Wang Zhong. This was because Wang Zhong made them eat less, causing them to suffer losses. Only when they came to the 60th floor and saw the full amount of food, these people were very surprised. Their eyes were filled with gratitude towards Wang Zhong. I think you guys did a great job. I am willing to help you. A brawny man also jumped onto the platform. Okay, let's establish the rules together. Wang Zhong nodded happily. The lift descended again. The people on the bottom floor, who didn't have any hope, smiled happily when they saw that they could actually eat. I agree with this rule. Yes, let the previous damn rules die. This is our rule. Everyone should eat their fill. Thank you. The lift went lower and lower, and the food on the top became less and less. Although everyone was given 3 mouthfuls of food, as they went down, the food became less and less. And now, they had reached the 200th floor, and there was only a small piece of cake left. Looking at the darkness below, Wen Qi said worriedly, "Why haven't we reached the end yet?" Wang Zhong didn't say anything. Soon, the darkness swallowed them all. Pa! Suddenly, everything around them lit up. Wen Qi disappeared, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of them, together with a dark carriage. Lord Gehenna. Wang Zhong recognized this person. You're not bad. You completed the test earlier than I expected. The Gehenna nodded slightly. His eyeless eye stared at Wang Zhong. My eyesight is indeed good. You have successfully passed the test. The scene around him changed. When he opened his eyes again, Wang Zhong found that he had returned to his goal. At the same time, he felt a heat on his hand. He quickly opened his palm, and there was an eye looking at him in the palm of his hand. This is the Judgment Eye, and it is also the symbol of the Gehenna. The Gehenna said, "How do I use it?" It will judge souls, and is a part of your power. This is a method to refine souls. Every Netherworld Master cultivates it. The executive Netherworld Master took out another book. However, as soon as the book came out, it turned into a stream of light and entered the Judgment Eye. It went in. Wang Zhong was stunned, but he felt that he could sense the things in the Judgment Eye. The book was now in the Judgment Eye. He reached out, and the Judgment Eye's power surged. This power was not as strong as the power he used to cultivate, but it was not bad for the current situation. It's very useful, Wang Zhong said. The test this time is the rule. It is also the rule of the Judgment Eye. This set of rules is the law of the Gehenna. No matter what crimes a soul commits, it will be judged by this set of laws. Do you understand? The Gehenna reminded. I understand. As he spoke, the rules of the Judgment Eye entered his mind. Soul slayers should be imprisoned. Murderers should be imprisoned. Disruptors should be imprisoned. There were a lot of rules, but the definition was difficult to determine. So in summary, Wang Zhong knew that these so-called rules did not count. Because he was the rules. What he said counted. I'm leaving. The Gehenna got on the carriage and turned his head. The Judgment Eye has many functions. Use it well. It is both a tool and a program. It will become stronger as you become stronger. His voice became softer and softer. Wang Zhong wanted to walk over, but as soon as he did, he felt weak again. Even if he was a Gehenna, his soul body was too weak. He could not go far. Sir, I can't go far yet. Wang Zhong said. I know. That soul body tempering technique can help you cultivate your body. When will you leave this place? This will be your next test. If you want to establish the rules, you must have strength. You can't leave within a year. The Judgment Eye will turn you into ashes. I'll leave first. The Gehenna flicked the reins. The Een horse suddenly raised its front legs and neighed. Then the carriage went further and further away. The Gehenna left under the cover of the night. After Wang Zhong returned to his tomb, he began to study the Judgment Eye and the soul body tempering technique. The soul body tempering technique, in the end, was a cultivation method. It absorbed Een energy to strengthen the soul body. This cultivation method was similar to the cultivation of spiritual energy in his previous life. However, there was a fundamental difference. The body was different, so the cultivation method was different. But overall, as long as one continuously absorbed yin energy, one's strength would become stronger. As for the judgment eye, his current understanding of it was still in the early stages. But overall, there were two functions of the judgment eye. The first was power. The power provided by the judgment eye was soul power. This power could be combined with one's own power. In other words, the stronger one's power, the stronger the judgment eye's power. The second function was that the judgment eye could store some things. It could also imprison souls inside, achieving the purpose of imprisonment. But how to imprison, and how to use it needed to be slowly explored. Since it was still early, in order to test how to use the judgment eye, Wang Zhong walked to the side of the woman. Suddenly, a message appeared in his mind. Discovered soul body Lilan. Age 53. Lifespan 73. Rage 18. When the rage value reaches 50 and above, the soul body has the ability to attack. Soul body state, muddle-headed, does not know anything. Looking at these messages, Wang Zhong was stunned. This is the ability of the judgment eye. Why is it so similar to the system? Back on Earth, Wang Zhong had read some novels, so he felt that these messages were similar to the system. But he knew that this was not the system, but the judgment eye's ability. Now he knew that this was also one of the judgment eye's abilities. When a soul body was by his side, the judgment eye could detect it and obtain information about the soul body. The information was the lifespan. If the soul body's age exceeded the lifespan, it meant that the soul body had illegally stayed in the world of the living. It needed to be eliminated to ensure the safety of the area. The rage value represented the soul body's combat power. Wang Zhong estimated that the higher the rage value, the stronger the soul body was. The soul body state was also very useful. It could tell whether the soul body had intelligence or not. Lilan, what are you doing? Wang Zhong floated to Lilan's side. This woman should have been in her 30s when she died. She was wearing bright red festive pajamas given to her by her family. Her face was covered in heavy makeup, and she looked quite beautiful. He could tell that Lilan was quite peaceful when she died. Chapter 480. Lilan didn't seem to hear Wang Zhong's words. He was still sitting in front of his tombstone in a daze, looking at his tombstone with a smile. The tombstone was very old. Compared to the other clean tombstones, Lilan's tombstone was messy and old. Sigh, a dead person is like an extinguished lamp. It's been a long time. I'm afraid her family has forgotten her. Wang Zhong sighed. He couldn't blame her family for being heartless. She was dead, but the living had to live. They couldn't care about a dead person all the time, right? Wang Zhong looked at his judgment eye. He thought for a while, and reached out his hand to see if he could touch the spirit body. Then he patted Lilan's shoulder. To his surprise, he could touch Lilan. At the same time, as he approached Lilan, scenes of her before she died appeared in his mind. Honey, I'm useless. I'm sorry. I borrowed money from everyone, but I couldn't find it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Looking at the background, Lilan was currently in the hospital. But looking at the hospital, this hospital was not very good. Lilan weakly reached out her hand and whispered, "Take care of our son." Honey, sob sob. Lilan's hand slowly fell, and a drop of tear fell. Lilan was gone. Wang Zhong was bewildered. He saw scenes of Lilan before she died. I'm afraid this is also an ability of the judgment eye. It can see things before an otherworldly item's death to determine whether it is good or bad. At this moment, Lilan seemed to react. She turned her head to look at him. Lilan, what are you doing? Wang Zhong asked again. It was too boring to stay here alone. Lilan was pretty, so he could chat with her. Lilan smiled. She opened her mouth and giggled like a fool. Since she died of illness, her resentment wasn't deep. However, she looked muddle-headed and didn't know anything. Poor girl. Wang Zhong shook his head and sighed. Lilan didn't put on her clothes properly. He guessed that her family didn't dress her properly when she was buried. Following the principle of putting people first and giving them dignity even after death, Wang Zhong kindly straightened her clothes. Good girl. Wang Zhong patted Li Lan's head and sighed in his heart. Beautiful women are unfortunate. I'm afraid her only concern now is her son. Wang Zhong scanned the other spirit bodies around him. They were all repulsive. There was a young lady who was quite pretty, but it was a pity that her intestines had already spilled out. Wang Zhong lost his appetite. This little girl should have died in a car accident. Wang Zhong calculated for a moment and found that the judgment I had no reaction from 20 meters away. When he was within 20 meters of the little girl, a notification sounded. Spiritual body Song Jiaojiao discovered. Age 18, lifespan 54. Rage 11. Spirit body state. Not knowing what to do, terrified. In fear? Wang Zhong sighed. Song Jiaojiao looked like she was around 14 or 15 years old. She had been dead for less than 2 years. Under such circumstances, otherworldly items would be frightened. After all, they used to live under the sun with people around them. But now otherworldly items were wandering around them. Moreover, otherworldly items usually had part of their memories when they were alive. She must have known that she was killed by a car accident. Little friend, do you have a lot of questions? Wang Zhong walked over and talked to Song Jiaojiao. As an emissary of hell, he would have to deal with all kinds of spirits often in the future. So this could be considered as an early practice. Just like before, a scene appeared in front of him. Song Jiaojiao was happily walking on the road with her best friend. Both of them were very beautiful. Li Wei, I'm with Lu Kuan now, said Song Jiaojiao happily. The girl named Li Wei was stunned. Her originally happy expression turned serious. At this moment, a big truck came at high speed. Li Wei was trembling as she pushed the defenseless Song Jiaojiao onto the road. Bang! The speeding tire ran over Song Jiaojiao's waist, and she died on the spot. I died so miserably. Boo-hoo! My stomach, my stomach! Song Jiaojiao ignored Wang Zhong's words. She lowered her head and cried in pain. Wang Zhong sighed inwardly. Poor child. So that's how she died. The scene before Song Jiaojiao's death matched Wang Zhong's guess. Therefore, her waist was flat, and even her intestines were exposed. This also meant that after a person died and turned into a spirit body, their appearance would be the same as before. Of course, a spirit body with cultivation would be different. A spirit body with cultivation would be restored to its appearance before death, and it wouldn't be so horrible. How did you get into the car accident? Although he knew, he still wanted Song Jiaojiao to tell him. Song Jiaojiao's intelligence seemed to be better than Li Lan's. She shook her head and murmured, I was walking on the road with my best friend. Suddenly, Song Jiaojiao raised her head. She remembered the scene that day. That day, she was walking happily with her best friend. On the way, she told her best friend that she was with a boy, and that she was in love. However, what shocked her the most was that her best friend didn't give her her blessings. Instead, she glared at her fiercely. Suddenly, her best friend pushed her onto the road. Coincidentally, a fatigued truck drove by. By the time the truck driver reacted, he was already under the car. Why did she push me? We were so close. As he spoke, Wang Zhong noticed that something was wrong. Song Jiaojiao's rage points were rising. Rage points, 12, 14, 18, 23, 34, Wang Zhong furrowed his brows. Song Jiaojiao's sudden change had caught him off guard. 41, 49, 51. When it reached 50, Song Jiaojiao's dazed eyes suddenly became clear. Why? Why did Li Wei want to kill me? Li Wei was her best friend. At the same time, Song Jiaojiao's originally dim soul power suddenly became viscous. She had directly evolved from an ordinary soul without an owner to a spiritual body with spiritual intelligence. Furthermore, her resentment was very deep. Spirit body state, continues to be angry, wants revenge, judgment, unable to imprison because she hasn't done anything evil. Suggestion, try to reform her within the limits of the rules. I'm afraid this is the use of the judgment eye. Wang Zhong's expression didn't change, but his mind was working very quickly. It was obvious that Song Jiaojiao's spiritual body had suddenly mutated after receiving his instructions. However, he reckoned that even without him, Song Jiaojiao would have suddenly become enlightened one day and become an angry spiritual body. Things hadn't reached the worst point yet. Song Jiaojiao only had evil thoughts temporarily. She wanted revenge. That made things simple. After all, the judgment I had already given a suggestion to reform her within the limits of the rules. At this moment, Song Jiaojiao looked at Wang Zhong and shouted angrily, "Scram!" An early stage evolved spirit body was fearless. Wang Zhong smiled. He reached out his judgment eye hand and slapped down. Slap! Song Jiaojiao was sent flying. Her soul power dissipated. Ah! Song Jiaojiao screamed. She was stunned. Wang Zhong walked over. Reforming her within the limits of the rules? Slapping her was also within the limits of the rules. It was fine as long as he didn't kill her. Song Jiaojiao was still glaring at Wang Zhong fiercely. Her intelligence wasn't very high yet, which was why she was like this. Otherwise, she would have knelt down and begged for mercy. If she was smarter, she would have already taken off her clothes. "Why did you hit me?" Song Jiaojiao asked hoarsely. "I'm the one who saved you." If he reformed her now, Song Jiaojiao wouldn't be imprisoned. Naturally, he was saving her. There was no problem with this logic. "Save me? Yes, you want to harm people, right?" "Oomph." Song Jiaojiao snorted. But it was equivalent to admitting it. Wang Zhong smiled and continued. "But do you know that if you harm people, you will be very miserable?" "I want to know why it's like this," Song Jiaojiao said coldly. "Is that so? Tell me about it. Maybe I can help you." First he used a big stick, and now he was asking for help. He wanted Song Jiaojiao to know that he wasn't ordinary. Song Jiaojiao tilted her head, as if she was recalling something. Then, she told him about how her best friend suddenly pushed her that day. After hearing this, Wang Zhong said, "So you were pushed by your best friend. I want to kill her. She killed me. Don't worry. There are surveillance cameras on the road, and the cars have driving cameras. Your best friend will definitely get the punishment she deserves for doing such a thing." "Oh really?" Song Jiaojiao was confused after hearing Wang Zhong's words. "Of course it's true. But why did she want to kill me? It's very simple. She also likes your boyfriend, so you know she's jealous of you." Wang Zhong saw the jealousy in Song Jiaojiao's best friend's eyes from the video. Both of them fell in love with the same man, Lu Kuan, an extremely outstanding and handsome young man. "So that's how it is." Song Jiaojiao lowered her head, thinking about something. At this time, the rage points in front of him were decreasing. 53, 51, 46. The persuasion seemed to be effective, but Wang Zhong also knew that it was because this girl's personality was very good. If it was someone with a violent personality, persuasion might not have been easy. As Song Jiaojiao's anger decreased, Wang Zhong felt the yin energy in his judgment eye increase by a lot. Wang Zhong's eyes narrowed. In an instant he felt his body become much stronger. Not bad. Wang Zhong nodded silently. He now understood that calming down a bit of anger would benefit him. Moreover, his judgment eye seemed to have increased as well. Originally, he could only see a distance of about 20 meters, but now it had increased by a few centimeters. Then, Wang Zhong greeted a few more ghosts. Unfortunately, only Song Jiaojiao's spiritual body responded. In the following days, Wang Zhong kept cultivating. As he absorbed more yin energy, he could also walk under the sun during the day, but not for too long. On this day it was drizzling. Wang Zhong sat under a tree and cultivated. However, early in the morning many cars came. These people were all carrying joss paper and flowers, and came to the cemetery. It turned out that today was a day similar to Qingming. Many people came to burn joss paper and pay respects to their ancestors. "Wu Jiaojiao, Li Wei has already been executed. You can go in peace." A couple stood at Song Jiaojiao's grave and burned a copy of the verdict. Wang Zhong sighed. Song Jiaojiao's matter had come to an end. A few days later, Wang Zhong found that he was much further away from the place where he was buried. He could now walk on the main road. The one-year deadline was getting closer and closer. At this time, he could actually hurry up and cultivate, so that he could leave this place. However, Wang Zhong was still thinking about the mission notification in his heart. The mission notification said that there would be a day when someone would die on this road. However, it had been so long. So why was there no one? Wang Zhong stood on the main road. He felt that there was no need to be anxious. Since the system said so, this matter would definitely happen. Sure enough, in the dark night, there was a car speeding from afar. Because of the rain a few days ago, this road was not easy to drive on. In the dark night, the car was moving very fast. The tires immediately began to skid. Screech, the tires skidded crazily. Seeing that it could no longer be controlled, the car finally crashed into a big tree on the side of the road. Bang! The car stopped abruptly, and the window of the driver's seat shattered instantly. A man groaned and rushed out of the car. Seeing this scene, Wang Zhong sighed. Driving without a seatbelt. The whole village was waiting for food. This was a bloody lesson. At this moment, Wang Zhong seemed to see the scene of Brother He carrying the coffin. Wang Zhong was very clear that this man was probably the person who died in the system notification. He looked to be in his early 20s, and was quite good-looking. However, he was too skinny. Moreover, this person looked like a little bottom. He should be the type that was often bullied. Walking over, the man twitched a few times and then stopped moving. After sensing that this person was completely dead, Wang Zhong laid down on the corpse. He was going to possess it. He did not know how he knew how to possess a body. After thinking about it carefully, this was the instinct of a soul. It was just like how people were born with the ability to blink. Chapter 481. If you're married, please wear your clothes properly. This is a sign of respect for your husband. If you're not married, please wear your clothes properly too. This is a sign of respect for yourself. If you're selling, please state the price and service. This is a sign of respect for the consumer. If you're not selling, please open your collar a little more, because I can't see clearly enough. Thank you. Wang Zhong, who had successfully possessed the body, was in a good mood. Looking at the beautiful woman whose dress was torn in half, and whose white shirt collar was torn open, he made a rare joke. He didn't expect to see such a beauty when he possessed the body of an unlucky guy who got into a car accident. This woman was also in the car, and got out of the car not long after the accident. Lija, it's dark here. I'm scared. The woman looked at the wilderness with a frightened expression. Why did you bring me here? I want to go home. It was 10 o'clock and the surroundings were dark. It was no wonder the woman was scared. But why was her tone and expression a little strange? Wang Zhong frowned. Fortunately, after possessing the body of another person, he could get some of the original owner's memories. The memories came flooding back. My name is Lija. I'm a live-in son-in-law. My wife is a fool. She's a fool. She doesn't even know how to take a dump or pee. The woman in front of him was called Tanya. She was his foolish wife. Because the possession was too hasty, the memories couldn't be completely digested in a short time. He needed to think slowly. The most important thing now was to leave this place and find a place to rest. His wife was dressed well. Her family background seemed to be quite good. It was a pity that his wife's eyes were not focused and were drifting. There was really something wrong with her brain. Tanya also seemed to be afraid of him. Lija, why did you bring me here? Are you okay? Tanya spoke again. Her intelligence was now about 5 or 6 years old, so she could distinguish between normal people and things. She knew that Lija was her husband. Wang Zhong was about to speak, but at this time, his head suddenly made a buzzing sound. It was very uncomfortable. The after effects of the possession suddenly broke out. His vision became darker and darker. Wang Zhong couldn't hold on anymore and fell to the ground heavily. Woo-woo. Lija, I'm scared, Lija, the woman cried. But she did not dare to approach Wang Zhong. She seemed to be afraid of him. Wang Zhong, who was lying on the ground, noticed that there was a phone on the ground, but the woman didn't seem to notice it. She didn't know how to use a phone. Is he really an idiot? For some reason, Wang Zhong felt a little helpless when he saw that the woman was so concerned about him. She didn't know what the original owner had done to Tanya, making her afraid of her, but also worried about her. Although this woman did not dare to approach him, although this woman looked dull and silly, she was still able to control her emotions. However, the feeling of being cared for was still pretty good. From the bottom of his heart, Wang Zhong actually had a feeling of liking women. His heart skipped a beat. He had just met a woman, and under normal circumstances he wouldn't feel this way. Unless it was because of this body. Wang Zhong thought of the mission notification. One of the missions was that the original owner of this body wanted his wife to become normal, because he loved her very much. Only then would the original owner of this body be able to rest in peace. Otherwise, he would never be able to perfectly occupy this body and become a real person. Wang Zhong was a little speechless when he thought of how he had flirted with his wife in the beginning. You seem to be very afraid of me. Wang Zhong tried to have a good conversation with Tangya. You wanted to hit me. I hit you. The woman tilted her head. This question made her instinctively feel a little strange, and her brain couldn't react. It was like a person who had clearly hit her, but still asked, I hit you. The woman nodded, then suddenly shook her head and laughed foolishly. Don't worry, I won't tell my sister about you hitting me. She tugged at the tattered clothes on her body. But you tore my clothes. As the woman spoke, she subconsciously touched her arm. Wang Zhong noticed that there were several bruises, which should be from being hit. Wang Zhong was a little confused. Since the original owner of this body loved women, why did he hit her? The memories in his mind gradually recovered, and the ability of a spirit body gradually emerged. At this moment, he stretched out his hand, and the judgment eye that ordinary people couldn't see was still in his palm. At the same time, he noticed that something was wrong with Tangya. Discovered Tangya who lacks a soul. The judgment eye's voice appeared in his mind. When he was in the world where he couldn't live past 21 years old, Wang Zhong knew that a person had 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls. If one of them was missing, a person would be in trouble. The Tangya in front of him only had 7 physical souls. No wonder she looked so silly. A person without 3 spiritual souls was a walking corpse. If there were no 7 physical souls, the soul would scatter. I want to pee, the woman suddenly said. Wang Zhong frowned. You don't know how to pee yourself? The woman shook her head. Wang Zhong looked at the sky helplessly. Which bastard took away her 3 spiritual souls? This was an evil Dao technique comparable to the possession technique, second only to making one's soul scatter. Because the 3 spiritual souls were gone, a person's IQ was comparable to a 5-year-old child. Then how did you pee in the past? I used diapers. The nanny or my sister changed it for me. Although she didn't have 3 spiritual souls, Tangya still had the IQ of a 5-year-old child. Diapers? Wang Zhong was a bit speechless. Then what about me? You hate me and won't change it for me, the woman said in fear. That can't be. Wang Zhong looked at Tangya. He could feel that the original owner loved Tangya, but why did he hate her? Recalling his memories, Wang Zhong finally determined that it wasn't hate, but hatred for Tangya's family. It turned out that Tangya wasn't stupid in the past. She was the goddess of the school. Not only was she excellent in her studies, but she was also sexy and charming. There was a reinforced company of people chasing after her. And Li Zhe was a reserve member of this reinforced company. He was considered cannon fodder. Tangya didn't even know that there was such a person. After graduation, Li Zhe thought that he would no longer have any contact with Tangya. But because he still loved Tangya deeply, he would always secretly pay attention to Tangya. In his heart he thought, although I can't have you, I can watch you get married and have children. I will silently bless you in my heart. This was probably the highest level of love. But once he suddenly heard that Tangya went crazy. In one night, Tangya didn't even know how to poop or pee. She couldn't speak and didn't recognize the people and things around her. Her IQ was like that of a baby. Finally, Li Zhe learned that Tangya went crazy. After that, Li Zhe went to take care of Tangya out of love. Tangya's family saw that Li Zhe really liked Tangya, so they agreed to let Li Zhe marry her. Originally, it was peaceful, but Tangya was very resistant to sleeping in the same room. She even said that she was only a few years old and couldn't do it. This made Li Zhe very depressed. After that, Li Zhe got drunk and played cards with a group of bad friends. The more he played, the more he lost. In the end, he lost all the money for Tangya's dowry and wedding. One must know that Li Zhe didn't pay much for the wedding. It was all Tangya's money. After all, Tanya went crazy. Originally, they wanted Li Jie to take care of Tanya, so they didn't expect Li Jie to pay much. However, they didn't expect that Li Jie would be so disappointing. He lost all the money and became addicted to alcohol. Gradually, he became unhappy with Tanya, so he beat Tanya several times. Several times, Tanya's family members found the scars on Tanya's body. They protected Tanya and wanted to drive Li Jie away. Li Jie thought that Tanya's family members bullied him, so he hated them. Tonight, he wanted to secretly drive the car and sell it to his creditor. He didn't expect that he would have a car accident. After knowing these memories, Wang Zhong only wanted to say that Li Jie was really a weirdo. Actually, he liked Tanya, but the problem was that he liked the smart and lively Tanya, not this fool. In addition, this fool Tanya refused to sleep with him. Her family also helped Tanya, which made Li Jie feel humiliated. Therefore, Li Jie began to degrade himself. My psychological resistance is still too weak. After knowing the cause and effect, Wang Zhong sighed helplessly. Damn it, how could he possess such a weak person? When he thought of the way his mother-in-law and Tanya's relatives and friends looked at him, he felt helpless. At this time, a car came quickly from not far away. Wang Zhong's heart tightened. Would there be any trouble at this time? Fortunately, the car stopped not far away. Tanya suddenly walked over and said in surprise, "Sister's car. Sister is here." Sister? Wang Zhong suddenly recalled that Tanya had a younger sister, who was also his sister-in-law. Her name seemed to be Tang Yaqing. Yes, elder sister Tanya, younger sister Tanya Qing. Phew, Wang Zhong heaved a long sigh. It was good that his sister-in-law was here. Although the situation was a little awkward, this was the only thing he could do. He would take it slow. However, at this time, someone seemed to be talking in his mind. Let me out. Wang Zhong frowned. Li Jie's stubbornness ran deep. With a thought, he suppressed Li Jie's stubbornness and shouted in his heart, Don't worry. I know that you love Tanya deeply. I will help her recover. It was easy to recover Tanya's intelligence, and that was to find the three souls. And Wang Zhong was sure that Tanya became like this because of someone. He slowly closed his heavy eyes. Just as he finished speaking, a cold voice sounded. Li Jie, you bastard, you brought my sister to this place. Bang! Viciously, Wang Zhong felt as though he had been kicked in the waist. This kick directly knocked him out. This body was too weak, and Wang Zhong had just possessed it, so his body was still weak. So he was kicked away before he could react. Damn, sister-in-law is so fierce, Wang Zhong fainted. The patient's body is recovering well. She can be discharged after a period of observation. Thank you, Jiang Lin. Tang Yaqing, we are old classmates. You don't have to be so polite with me. Speaking of which, it's mainly because your brother-in-law is tough. He is fine after being hit like that. I have something to do, so I will go to another ward. Okay. The sound of the door closing could be heard. In fact, Wang Zhong had been awake for a long time, but he had been absorbing the condition of his body. After a round of examination, he got a good news and a bad news. Chapter 482. After checking, he got a piece of good news and a piece of bad news. The good news was that he could live like an ordinary person for the time being. The bad news was that Li Jie's obsession in his body was very strong. This Li Jie, I didn't expect his obsession to be so deep. Wang Zhong closed his eyes, but he could hear Li Jie screaming in his heart. Who are you? Why are you occupying my body? Li Jie roared in his heart. You're dead. This body belongs to me. Don't worry. I'll fulfill your last wish. Really? I'm dead. I'm dead. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect my life to be so short. But why am I still here? You're another worldly item. Wang Zhong understood that Li Jie had died in an accident. That was why he was still here. I don't care what I am. I just want Tanya to recover. If you can't do it, I'll harass you every day. You're courting death, Wang Zhong snorted. He wanted to talk nicely, so that they could both take a step back. He didn't expect Li Jie to have such a weird temper. A flow of yin qi rushed into the soul in his chest. Li Jie screamed and then stopped talking. Actually, Li Jie couldn't do anything to him. However, Since Li Jia didn't leave, he couldn't completely occupy this body. But it didn't mean that he couldn't teach him a lesson. Let's do this for now. My 6 senses have been purified. Now I need to familiarize myself with the things around me. Then it's time to improve my strength. After making up his mind, Wang Zhong slowly opened his eyes. There was only one woman in the room. It was Tang Yaqing, his sister-in-law. She looked 80% similar to his silly wife. However, her eyes were cold, and her temperament was cold. She exuded a cold aura from the inside out. Her body was tall, and her breasts were boundless. She was just a little bit shorter than his silly wife. At this moment, she was skillfully peeling an apple with a fruit knife. When she saw Wang Zhong open his eyes, she looked disgusted. "You're awake?" Tang Yaqing asked coldly. "Yeah," Wang Zhong answered. He knew that Tang Yaqing hated him, but he didn't care. Then he sat up straight. "Where's my wife?" "Your wife?" Tang Yaqing sneered. "Li Jia, you still know that my sister is your wife. What are you trying to do by bringing my sister to such a place in the middle of the night? Don't think that I don't know. If you wanted to break up with her, you didn't have to marry my sister. Now that something like this has happened, are you trying to harm her? To think that my Tang family treated you so well back then. I thought that my sister had found a good backer. I didn't expect you to be such a beast in human clothing. Our entire family has misjudged you." Wang Zhong did not know how to explain, and could only remain silent. "Wang Zhong, I'm warning you. Although my sister is sick, and has become like this, the Tang family has never mistreated you. If you do business at a loss, we will give you compensation. You bought a car and a house, which one didn't we give you? What else are you not satisfied with? You're marrying into our family. We only hope that you can take good care of my sister. If you can't even do this, why would we want you?" Wang Zhong sighed. This was the original owner's doing. He couldn't defend himself because he also thought that the original owner, Li Jia, was not a good person. "Also, don't think that I don't know what you've done behind my back." "What have I done?" Wang Zhong was a little confused. "Did you beat my sister behind my back? If I didn't see the wound on her hand when I picked her up, I wouldn't have known." Tang Yaqing was so angry that her delicate body trembled. "You're a loser. You beat your wife. Besides being a loser, you don't have any guts. If you have the ability, you should be fierce to the people outside." "I'm sorry." Wang Zhong was very straightforward, and looked straight at Tang Yaqing. He couldn't refute, and agreed with Tang Yaqing. However, he couldn't explain that it was Li Jia's doing, and that he was an otherworldly item that possessed his body. So he could only apologize. Tang Yaqing was bewildered. The Li Jia today made her feel strange, especially the look in his eyes. In the past, when he saw her, Li Jia was like a mouse that saw a cat. He was very afraid of her. But now, he dared to look straight at her with a confident face. "Don't worry. I won't do it again. Moreover, if it's possible, I will find a way to cure your sister's illness." Wang Zhong's eyes were serious. Tang Yaqing's frown deepened. She realized that she couldn't see through Li Jia now. Wang Zhong took the peeled apple from her hand and said, "Thank you. It's not for you." Tang Yaqing was furious. "I know." Wang Zhong stood up and got out of the bed. He wanted to go home as soon as possible to familiarize himself with this body. Strictly speaking, he didn't like this body, but he had no choice. This was his mission. Seeing Wang Zhong get out of bed, Tang Yaqing snorted. "Your body is not bad. You can even get out of bed. Let me ask you, why did you take my sister out last night? You were drunk. Do you know that if my sister didn't wear a seatbelt, she would have died?" "I'm sorry. I promise I won't do it again." Wang Zhong sighed. She wanted to say that it wasn't his fault, but she couldn't. It was hard to explain. At this moment, a child's cry came from outside the hospital. A man roared, "Quack! You are all F***king quacks. You can't even treat a child's illness. Go to hell. Hurry up and change your clothes. I'll go out and take a look." Tang Yaqing said, "This is the hospital's business. Why are you going out?" Wang Zhong always felt that it was better not to meddle in other people's business. He was reminding Tang Yaqing. After all, she was his sister-in-law now. Tang Yaqing glared at Wang Fan, but didn't say anything. In the corridor of the ward, A young couple was anxiously coaxing a crying little boy. The child was about 5 years old. Because of the long crying, his face was red as if it had been burned by fire. Even his voice was a little hoarse. The 3 nurses were at a loss of what to do. A young female doctor kept trying to persuade them. Please don't be nervous. Your child shouldn't have a viral infection. It should be caused by shock. Please try to keep your voice down when you speak, so that you don't scare the child. We are not crazy. Why would we scare the child? In my opinion, you just don't know how to treat illnesses. The child's father shouted. Jianglin, what's wrong? Tang Yaqing walked over and asked the female doctor. This child has had a high fever for 3 days. Today the fever hasn't subsided. Instead, the temperature has reached 40 degrees. Jianglin frowned. I've already given him an injection to reduce the fever, but I didn't expect that not only did the fever not go down, but the temperature also rose. You quack. The woman scolded angrily. I'm telling you, if anything happens to my son, you can forget about being a doctor in the future. I'll definitely complain to your director. Don't think that I don't have the ability. My cousin is the boss of Huaihai Group. He knows many big shots. Jianglin had a headache. As a doctor, especially in pediatrics, she was most afraid of encountering such unreasonable family members. This was also the reason why there were fewer and fewer pediatricians these days. Tang Yaqing persuaded. Please calm down. What you're saying is not good for the child's illness. Please believe the doctor. Who the F***ck are you? The woman pointed at Tang Yaqing. Her arrogant look was disgusting. I'm a family member of the patient here. Then what are you talking about? Get lost. You don't have to care about our business. You're shouting so loudly. It's affecting the patient's rest and public order. I'm just reminding you. Tang Yaqing said seriously. F***ck off. The woman didn't care about Tang Yaqing at all. She even pushed Tang Yaqing with one hand. At this moment, Wang Zhong appeared behind Tang Yaqing and pulled her back a little, so that she wouldn't be pushed by the woman. Tang Yaqing came back to her senses and saw Wang Zhong standing in front of her. He said calmly, You won't be able to solve anything like this. Looking at Wang Zhong's figure, a strange feeling rose in her heart. Why was this Lija different from before? How was this possible? This was the useless Lija who couldn't do anything. In the past, Lija would hide whenever he was in trouble. When did such a man stand on the front line? At this moment, the boy's body began to twitch. His eyes were already rolling back. He was about to die. For a moment, Jianglin's forehead was covered with cold sweat. If the child died in the hospital, it would be troublesome. The most important thing was that she didn't know what to do. There were no problems in the tests, but the child was still sick. The boy's father anxiously shouted, Doctor, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and save him. After all, Jianglin was just a young doctor. She was so nervous that she didn't know what to do. At this moment, Wang Zhong walked to the boy's side. In his eyes, the boy had energy lingering between his eyebrows. This illness didn't seem simple. Why are you here? Do you know how to treat illnesses? The boy's father roared. I can give it a try, Wang Zhong said calmly. You're crazy. Tang Yaqing pulled Wang Zhong and hissed. When did you learn how to treat illnesses? Don't mess around. To be honest, Wang Zhong really didn't know how to treat illnesses. However, the boy in front of them obviously wasn't sick. He was haunted by an otherworldly item. Don't worry. I said I can so I can. While Wang Zhong was talking, the eye in his palm opened without him noticing. Wang Zhong looked at the boy and saw a palm-sized baby slowly crawling up from behind him. What are you doing? The boy's father roared. He thought that Wang Zhong was making trouble, so he pushed Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong reached out to grab the man's wrist and pushed him slightly. Thump, thump, thump. The boy's father took several steps back. He looked at Wang Zhong in shock. Wang Zhong didn't pay attention to him. Instead, he looked at the otherworldly item's information. Discovered a baby's soul. Age 11 months. Lifespan, 64 years. Rage points 52. Soul state, hatred. He hates his father. After reading the information, Wang Zhong immediately understood that the baby was this man's son. At the same time, The scene before the baby's death appeared. In the scene, a woman who was around 6 or 7 months pregnant appeared. However, this woman wasn't the man's wife. Wang Zhong smiled. This is getting interesting. Chapter 483. In the picture, there was a good-looking girl in her 20s. She seemed to be in a living room, crying and shouting at the man in front of her. Zhang Weiming, when you were with me, you said that you didn't have a wife. But why? Why am I seeing this? The girl was holding a photo in her hand. It was a family photo of Zhang Weiming. Zhang Weiming stood in the living room and shouted, "Don't worry about that. Anyway, I'll take care of you. Have you been married before?" Zhang Weiming didn't say anything. "Okay, I'll go to your company. You're crazy." Zhang Weiming's expression changed drastically. "To be honest, the woman in the photo is my wife. The company is hers. If you go and make a scene and my wife finds out, it won't be good for anyone. Then what should I do? I'm about to give birth." The woman started to make a scene and pushed Zhang Weiming. Zhang Weiming was angry and pushed the girl away. The girl fell to the ground and immediately covered her stomach and cried, "My stomach, my stomach." The child was gone just like that. After knowing the cause and effect, Wang Zhong hated the man in front of him even more. "How dare you push me?" Zhang Weiming pointed at Wang Zhong and shouted angrily, "Do you know who I am? I'm the general manager of Mingda Enterprise. I know the director here. I want to complain about you." "Go ahead. I'm not an employee here anyway." As Wang Zhong spoke, he reached out and grabbed the baby on the boy's back and pulled the baby over. "What are you doing?" The woman pulled Wang Zhong's hand like a shrew. However, at this moment, the boy suddenly stopped twitching. Then, he coughed twice and spat out a mouthful of bloody phlegm. Then the boy cried again, but this time, the voice was much softer. The child was really too tired and fell asleep quickly. His recovery was too sudden, leaving the surrounding people dumbfounded. Only Wang Zhong could see that he was holding a baby in his hand. Fortunately, the baby was very small, so it was very weak. However, his expression was ferocious and filled with deep resentment. The moment he was pulled out, he bared his teeth at Wang Zhong, full of resentment. At this moment, the boy in the woman's arms suddenly opened his eyes. He jumped down and obediently held the woman's hand. "Mom, I think I'm better. I'm so hungry. I want to go home and eat." Seeing that their child had returned to normal, the couple was overjoyed. Okay, let's go home right away." Jiang Lin heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the child was fine. Tang Yaqing looked at Wang Zhong in surprise. Was the child really cured by Li Jia? Impossible. How could he have such an ability? It must have been an accident. Seeing that the family of 3 was about to leave, Wang Zhong originally wanted to expose Zhang Weiming's true colors, but after thinking about it, what should he say when he exposed him? Could it be that I'm an emissary of hell, and that my eye of judgment can see things that you can't? If that was the case, he would probably be taken to a mental hospital by this arrogant and overbearing sister-in-law immediately. The family of 3 finally left. When they left, they were still cursing, saying that they met a quack doctor, and that they met a lunatic like Wang Zhong. As for Wang Zhong, he looked at the child in his hand and activated the eye of judgment, temporarily imprisoning the child. Imprisonment successful. Did not meet the requirements for long-term imprisonment. Please calm your anger as soon as possible. Because the child had not killed anyone, although the imprisonment was successful, it was only for a short period of time. Wang Zhong had a new understanding of the eye of judgment. What the hell just happened? Jiang Lin walked over curiously. She was just about to call the security, but she didn't expect that the child would be fine when Wang Zhong stretched out his hand. Although she didn't understand, Jiang Lin still said to Wang Zhong, "Thank you, Mr. Li. It's okay. This family is unreasonable. I think anyone would help if they encountered such a situation." Wang Zhong said lightly. Tang Yaqing turned to Jiang Lin and said apologetically, "Jiang Lin, don't listen to Li Jia's nonsense. He doesn't know any medical skills. We'll contact him later. We'll leave first." On the way back, he sat in his sister-in-law's car. "Li Jia, what happened just now?" Tang Yaqing still couldn't understand what happened. She felt that the child couldn't have been cured by Wang Zhong. But at that time, Wang Zhong seemed a little mysterious. At that time, didn't your doctor friend say that he had checked the child, but couldn't find anything? I thought that there might be something dirty behind the child, so I reached out and patted it. That's right. Tang Yaqing frowned and said, something dirty? She suddenly realized something, and her expression changed drastically. What nonsense are you talking about? Wang Zhong didn't care whether Tang Yaqing believed him or not. He asked, how long will it take to get home? Lija, you must have been hit by a car. Home is just in front. Don't you recognize it? Tang Yaqing looked at him with disdain. After the car accident, I felt a little dizzy. Wang Zhong really couldn't stand his sister-in-law's bad temper. He simply stopped talking to her. As for Tang Yaqing, she thought that Wang Zhong was deliberately scaring her. She was even more dissatisfied with Wang Zhong. Finally, the car slowed down and turned into a villa area called Qingfeng Villa. Looking at the appearance of this area, the family he married into was quite rich, living in a big villa, driving a small car. And his wife was so beautiful. Yes, although she was a little silly, was he profiting? Lija, when you get home later, my mother has something to talk to you about. Wang Zhong nodded his head. The car accident this time, coupled with his previous actions, had probably caused his mother-in-law to be unhappy. After getting out of the car, Wang Zhong looked at the big villa in front of him, the big garden and the gate. He sighed in his heart. This villa at least was worth tens of millions, right? Lija, you King idiot. With such good conditions you still went to gamble. Sometimes when he saw some rich people gambling, Wang Zhong really couldn't understand. They were already so rich, so why did they still gamble? Gambling was to make money. Making money was to make a lot of money. Making a lot of money was to spend money. But rich people already had a lot of money. They didn't have to worry about money. Why did they still gamble and lose everything in the end? Perhaps this was what people often said. Some people couldn't hold on to money. This saying seemed superstitious, but it actually made sense. In the end, it was related to a person's personality. Smart people would gamble and know when to stop. Unsmart people, even if they had a lot of money, would still be cheated and locked up. Lija belonged to the kind of people who couldn't hold on to money. At this time the door opened. A middle-aged man walked over. He was wearing a tang suit and black cloth shoes. Although he was a little old, he was in good spirits. This should be my father-in-law, right? Sure enough, his gaze was the same as his sister-in-law's. It was a little dismissive. Wang Zhong thought about it. In the past, Lija was indeed a bastard. However, he still had to live his life in the future. Although this family wasn't very friendly to him, there was a reason for that. In the past, Lija was indeed a bastard. Everyone had to be reasonable. That kind of person really couldn't be good to him. Hence, Wang Zhong understood this family very well. Hence, he decided that from this moment on, he would let everyone around him know that he had changed. He was Lija and Wang Zhong. However, his personality was completely different. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, wife, sister-in-law. Our family has to love each other. Dad. Hence, Wang Zhong went over and greeted him affectionately. This is Uncle Sunday. Tang Yaqing was so angry that she saw stars. What was wrong with Lija? Was this guy's brain damaged? The person in front of him was the next-door neighbor. He had come over to visit. He didn't expect that when he opened the door, the son-in-law of this family would call him Dad. This was very embarrassing. Uncle Sun was very embarrassed. Lija, you're calling the wrong person. It's not appropriate for you to call me Dad. Wang Zhong was quite speechless. The possession time was too short. His memory didn't react immediately, and he thought that this was his father-in-law. Uncle Sun, I'm sorry. I hit my head last night, and my head is still dizzy. I mistook you for someone else, Wang Zhong explained. It's okay. I still have something to do. I'll leave first. Uncle Sun left awkwardly. Meanwhile, Tang Yaqing walked angrily into the house. The interior of the house was very well decorated. The floor was covered with marble tiles, and the walls were decorated with gold and jade. It was very grand. Wang Zhong also entered the house. On the sofa in the living room, a middle-aged man was drinking tea. This was his father-in-law, Tang Mingzi. When he saw that his daughter and son-in-law had returned, Tang Mingzi only glanced at Wang Zhong. Then he said to Tang Yaqing, "Xiaoqing, why are you back so early?" Li Zhe said that he doesn't need to stay in the hospital. In the kitchen, his mother-in-law, Li Lihua, walked out with a fruit plate. His mother-in-law was quite elegant. At first glance, he could tell that she was a daughter of a wealthy family. The two sisters were about the same height as his mother-in-law. Li Li's hair was tied up and her body was straight. Like his father-in-law, when his mother-in-law came out of the kitchen, she only glanced at Wang Zhong. When she thought of how she had asked Li Zhe to marry her eldest daughter, she felt a little regretful. At that time, she shouldn't have thought that she had found someone to entrust her eldest daughter to and married her to such a person. "Dad, Mom, I'm back," Wang Zhong greeted. He didn't want to appear to be very unique. "Li Zhe, about what happened tonight, I want to tell you." His father-in-law's face darkened. He put down the teacup heavily. "Why did you take Tanya out in the middle of the night? You even hurt her like that. We married Tanya to you because we hoped that you would let her live a good life. We didn't want you to hurt her and hurt her." His father-in-law stared at Wang Zhong. He had an oppressive aura. This aura couldn't be faked without a certain amount of experience. "I was wrong." Wang Zhong was straightforward. "I won't do it again in the future." His father-in-law didn't expect Wang Fan to admit his mistake so easily. This made him feel like he had punched cotton. "Li Zhe, does our Tang family treat you well?" At this moment his mother-in-law spoke. "Very well," Wang Zhong said. "Yes, I know. You might feel embarrassed after marrying into the family. But think about it. Our Tang family didn't ask you for money. Secondly, we didn't ask you to take care of Tanya. Thirdly, we didn't ask you to go out and earn money to support the family. We've already treated you well. But you didn't take good care of her, and even hurt Tanya like that. Most importantly, where's your family's money? Where did it go?" His mother-in-law asked in exasperation. "You two should break up." His father-in-law spoke. "Dad, Mom." At this moment Tanya, who was wearing pajamas on the second floor, rubbed her eyes sleepily like a child and shouted, "Dad, Mom, I want to pee." Chapter 484. Wang Zhong, what are you waiting for? I'll give you a chance to teach Xiaoye how to use the toilet. Li Lihua said impolitely. When Wang Zhong came, he thought that he might not have any status in this family. But he did not expect that his status was so low that he was ordered around. But Wang Zhong felt that Li Zhe deserved it. Li Zhe wanted to live a good life like the Tang family. But he also wanted to be respected. "I suspect that you're making things up out of nothing. You're dreaming." Wang Zhong ridiculed for a moment before replying. "Mom, doesn't Xiaoye have diapers? Is there something wrong with your brain? The weather is so hot recently. What if she gets heat rashes?" Li Lihua shouted. Wang Zhong was scolded until his head bled. Thinking back, he suddenly remembered that in the past, Li Zhe had helped Tanya take her pee. But Tanya had pushed him away. Although they were husband and wife in name, and Tanya usually followed him, they had never slept together. "Don't hesitate. I know you are not willing. In the past it was the nanny who did it. But recently, she had something to do in her hometown and went back. As Xiaoye's husband, you should do such a small thing." The father-in-law looked at Wang Zhong unhappily. He thought to himself, "I've spoiled you, haven't I? I let you do such a small thing, and you are not willing to do it." It seemed that he hated them so much that he should divorce them. He must not let this continue. Otherwise, his family would suffer a big loss sooner or later. Wang Zhong was not unwilling. It was just that he had never done such a thing before. After all, it was not convenient for a boy to pee. If it was a girl, he did not know the specific steps. "I don't know how to do it," Wang Zhong could only say. "Moreover, Xiaoye does not allow me to touch her." "Then you should learn." The mother-in-law could not help but complain. "You can't even do such a small thing well. When we are old, Xiaoye will suffer with you." "Li Zhe, I will do it with you." Tang Yaqing glanced at Wang Zhong. "Okay." Wang Zhong heaved a sigh of relief. Although his sister-in-law had a cold temper, she was still easier to talk to than his mother-in-law and father-in-law. When he went upstairs, He saw his silly wife smiling at Tang Yacheng. Actually, if one looked closely, this wife of his was very good-looking. But now, her eyes were unfocused. Sister. Tang Yacheng supported Tangya with heartache. Sister, my good sister, you've grown so tall. Tangya touched Tang Yacheng's head and said with a smile. Where did you go, sister? I missed you so much. I'm going to pick up brother-in-law. In front of Tangya, Tang Yacheng called Wang Fan brother-in-law. This was a form of respect for her sister. Your brother-in-law? Tangya looked at Wang Zhong blankly. Suddenly she asked in horror, You're back. Don't come here. Don't come here. He could tell that Tangya was very afraid of him. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Tang Yacheng supported Tangya and glared at Wang Zhong. Come and support her. Got it. Wang Zhong supported Tangya, and the three of them entered the toilet. Sister, I want to pee. Tangya tilted her head and looked at Wang Zhong. She frowned again. There's a boy. Let him go. Let him go. Wang Zhong was embarrassed. Seeing that Tangya was quarreling, Tang Yacheng could only say, Lija, you'd better go out. My sister doesn't think you can do it. Okay. Wang Zhong had already thought of it. He was not a pervert who had the hobby of peeping. Tangya quickly went to the toilet. When she came out, she said with a smile, Hubby. Seeing Tangya like this, Wang Zhong was also a little strange. Logically speaking, Tangya liked him as her husband. But why didn't she allow him to touch her? After thinking for a long time, he came to the conclusion that Tangya's mental age was very young. But unlike children, she understood the matters between men and women. So when she acknowledged him as her husband, at the same time, she was limited by the concept that she could not sleep with Wang Zhong. This situation could not be blamed on Tangya. Rather, it should be said that Tangya's family education was very good. Since young, her family education taught her that girls should love themselves. Xiaoya, let's go downstairs. Wang Zhong helped Tangya down the stairs. The family quickly sat down. Looking at the table, there was indeed no bowl for him. The rice is in the rice cooker. Li Lihua said without looking up. Wang Zhong could only scoop it himself. He did feel very weak and wanted to eat something. So, under the unhappy gazes of his mother-in-law and father-in-law, he picked up a piece of meat and ate it. But in the next moment his eyes narrowed. The originally delicious meat was now like sh*t. sh*t. With a retch sound, the meat was spat out along with his saliva. Pa. Li Lihua slammed the table. Lija, what is the meaning of this? Tang Mingza put down his chopsticks angrily. This is outrageous. Lija, are you doing this on purpose? This is such delicious meat, and you actually said sh*t. Tang Yacheng looked at Wang Zhong in disbelief, and even ate a piece of meat to show off. Seeing Tang Yacheng eat the meat, Wang Zhong remembered the previous taste of the meat. It really tasted like sh*t. Wretch! Wang Zhong vomited again. Tang Yacheng. In an instant, the whole room fell into a freezing point. Especially Li Lihua. This was a table full of dishes she had cooked. The useless son-in-law actually said sh*t. He was deliberately angering her to death. Wang Zhong realized that this was his fault. He quickly took a piece of tissue and wiped his mouth. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling well after the car accident. There were more side effects after the possession than he had imagined. Although the body was repaired after the possession, his sense of taste did not seem right. After hearing Wang Zhong's explanation, the family's expressions became better. Lija, do you need to go to the hospital again? Tang Yacheng asked. Wang Zhong waved his hand, indicating that he did not need to. Tang Mingza was not in the mood to continue eating. He put down his chopsticks and said, Since you're not feeling well, eat slowly. I have some questions for you first. You haven't answered my question just now. Why did you take Tangya out in the middle of the night? Wang Zhong actually knew that he took Tangya out that night, because Lija found a private finance company and wanted to pawn the car. The car was bought before Tangya became stupid. It was under Tangya's name. If he wanted to sell the car, he could only ask Tangya to go there. As for why it was so late, it was because Tangya's parents were at home during the day. There was no chance. But if he said this, the Tang family would be even angrier. For a moment, Wang Zhong found it hard to say. It was too embarrassing. Lija, are you hiding something from us? Li Lihua frowned. Wang Zhong nodded. There is something, but I will solve it myself. What is it? Tang Mingzi asked. Did you gamble again? Li Lihua asked. Wang Zhong did not like to hide, so he said bluntly. Yes, and I owe some money. Pa! Li Lihua shouted. Divorce, you must divorce. Eat my ass. You want to eat our Tang family's food? Tang Mingzi pointed at Wang Zhong. Don't tell me you want to pawn the car. Right, the car's name is Tangya's. That's what you want. Tangya frowned. I didn't expect you to be like this. Lija, you must divorce my sister this time. Wang Zhong knew that he couldn't stay here any longer. Thus, he simply stood up and said, Can you give me some time? I'll settle the money myself. Give you time. Li Lihua also stood up. Okay, I will give you time. But before that, you must move out. Yes, move out. In the meantime, you will live in our old house in the Tiantai district. Wang Zhong nodded. He did not like living here, so he agreed. Tang Mingzi and the others were surprised to see Wang Zhong agreeing so readily. However, since he had agreed, they heaved a sigh of relief. They said that they wanted Wang Zhong to move, but in fact, they also planned to officially divorce their eldest daughter and Wang Zhong. They thought about it. Wang Zhong usually changed the lock when he went out, and they would not contact each other in the future. Wang Zhong packed his things and went out. At the gate of the district, Tang Yiqing stared at Wang Zhong and said coldly, How much money do you owe outside? I can solve it. Wang Zhong said. You can solve it. Tang Yiqing acted as if she had just heard a big joke. She said, I'm not interested in how much money you owe. Anyway, you must divorce my sister immediately. I'll finish my work in the next few days. Then, I'll go and do the paperwork. You take care of yourself. Tang Yiqing left without hesitation. Looking at the endless night sky, Wang Zhong was not disappointed. Even if he did not owe money and would not be kicked out, he would find an excuse to leave. But now he felt strange. Why did he vomit after eating? It was delicious. He rubbed his belly. It seemed that he was not hungry. Suddenly he understood why. He was a reincarnated soul, so he was not a human. He should be a living dead. Thus it was reasonable that he could not eat. Let's go back to the Tiantai district first. He flipped through his memories and looked at the key that his father-in-law had given him before he left. Wang Zhong suddenly realized that he didn't know where the rooftop district was. Luckily, he had more than 500 yuan in his pocket when he left. He could find a place to sleep, but he still had things to do. He walked to the street and opened his judgment eye. A palm-sized otherworldly item appeared. It was the spirit of the baby that had appeared in the hospital. Croak, croak. The baby croaked in an incomprehensible voice. I know you're angry. I'll take revenge for you, okay? The baby obviously understood him. He jumped down and looked up at Wang Zhong. Croak, croak. After calling out, the baby ran out, and Wang Zhong followed him. The baby seemed to want Wang Zhong to follow him. Soon they arrived at the bottom of a building. Fortunately, his father-in-law lived in the city. Thus, it did not take long for them to arrive at this bustling area. He's up there. The baby's voice was sharp. Don't worry. I'll take revenge for you. Wang Zhong smiled at the baby. Then he looked up. It was time to fulfill his duty as the Yin officer. Last time, when he appeased Song Jiaojiao's anger, he found that his Yin energy had increased. So, it should be the same this time, right? Chapter 485. Mr. Zhang, I've taken a fancy to a bag recently, but it's so expensive. In the manager's office of Mingda Enterprise, a girl with a good figure sat on Zhang Weiming's lap and said sweetly, Buy. Zhang Weiming waved his hand. I've taken a fancy to a dress. Buy. There's a dress that looks good. Buy. A pair of shoes. No need to say any more. Buy them all. Zhang Weiming had no problem with money. Then Zhang Weiming couldn't wait to reach in. He had been eyeing this secretary for a long time. Previously, it was inconvenient for him to have his wife in the company. Recently his son was sick, and his wife finally came home. He thought that this secretary was usually so cold and elegant, that it would be difficult to get a hold of her. He didn't expect her to pounce on him. Wasn't this too easy? Soon the two of them began. Hand of stealing, giant tongue whip, indestructible grip, fatal rhythm, rhythm of war. An hour later, it was obvious that Zhang Weiming was an old hand. It took a long time. However, just as he turned on his phone, his expression changed drastically. The headline of the news was about him and his secretary. They were secretly photographed. Ring, ring, ring. He received a call from the tigress. He quickly picked up the phone and shouted, "Wife, listen to me. Zhang Weiming, there's no need to say anything. We're getting a divorce. You're leaving with nothing." Downstairs, Wang Zhong and a young man in a baseball cap stood downstairs. "Friend, I've already asked my subordinates to publish the news. The effect is very good." The man in the baseball cap smiled. In the darkness, Wang Zhong smiled. After coming to the bottom of the building, he came to this remote place. His soul left this body and went straight to Zhang Weiming's office. Then he secretly filmed him and his secretary. Finally, he returned to his body and went online to find a local reporter and asked him to come over. Half an hour later, he sent him the photos and videos. Of course, if it was an ordinary affair, the reporter wouldn't have the time to come over. But Zhang Weiming was different. Previously, in the scene before the baby died, Wang Zhong knew from the conversation between Zhang Weiming and the woman that this Mingda enterprise was one of the top 10 enterprises in the city and was a public figure. The man in the cap took out $1,000 and handed it to Wang Zhong. "You deserve it." This was previously agreed upon. Although Wang Zhong did not care about the money, there had to be a reason for this piece of news, right? "Thank you." Wang Zhong took the money, turned around and left. "By the way, there are so many guards at Mingda Enterprise. How did you manage to secretly take these photos?" The reporter suddenly stopped Wang Zhong. With both hands in his pockets, Wang Zhong tilted his head and said, "Use your phone." After saying that, Wang Zhong quickly left. "Take a picture with a cell phone. Isn't that obvious?" The man in the cap muttered. "What a weirdo. What are you still doing there?" Wang Zhong's figure reappeared at the entrance of the alley. Just as the man was about to speak, he realized that Wang Zhong was leading something away. This guy wasn't talking to him. He was dumbfounded. "Who am I? Where am I? What's going on?" Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A gust of cold wind blew past, causing goosebumps to appear on his skin. He looked around and hurriedly left. "I've already exposed your father. After this, his reputation will be ruined." "Don't worry." Holding the baby's little hand, Wang Zhong whispered, "Gua gua." The baby still did not know how to make sounds, but he sounded much happier. At the same time, his rage points were also decreasing. 54, 52, 49, 31, 11. At the same time, Wang Zhong felt that the yin energy in his body had become more condensed. He now vaguely understood that while dealing with the wrath of the otherworldly item, it was also a process of cultivation. He suddenly thought of a very serious question. Apart from the advantage of being a judge, was there a salary for his position in the netherworld? He wouldn't be working for free, right? The baby's spiritual body had already left this place. He was no longer angry. In the following days, he would wander around aimlessly. When his lifespan was up, he would be picked up and taken away. At this moment, it was not too late. Wang Zhong touched his stomach and felt very strange. Although he had not eaten at night, for some reason, he did not feel hungry at all. On the contrary, after receiving the reward of yin energy, he felt a sense of fullness. Since he wasn't hungry, he didn't want to eat. He walked toward the row of taxis in front of him. There were many taxis parked here. The taxi drivers were quite hardworking. At this moment, many of them were gathered together and chatting. If a customer came, these drivers would usually negotiate with the customer. If the customer was suitable, they would immediately start work. Wang Zhong walked in front of several taxis and asked if they wanted to go to the Tiantai district. However, to his surprise, the answers he received were either not going or that they didn't know where the place was. Tiantai district? I'm not going. That place? I'm not free. Can we still go to that place? I'm not going. He asked a few more questions, but they all said that they wouldn't go there. Driver, why don't you go there? After being rejected for the 5th time, Wang Zhong couldn't help but buy a pack of cigarettes and ask the driver. It's not that I don't want to go, but that place has been demolished. There's not even a street light. It's easy to get lost there. No way. You're experienced drivers. How can this be? Wang Zhong felt that something was wrong. You don't believe me. That district has had many accidents in the past. Many people have died. So you're worried that there's something dirty there. Wang Zhong recalled the conversation of the drivers just now. Basically, after hearing that it was the Tiantai district, their expressions were very unnatural. It's not that we're worried. It's just that that place is really too remote. It's better if you go during the day. Wang Zhong was wondering if he should go the next day and find a place to make do tonight. Suddenly, the driver pointed to a taxi not far away. Yo, brother Ad is here. Little brother, if you want to go to the Tiantai district, look for him. This guy is definitely an experienced driver. He's the most familiar with that place. He grew up in the Tiantai district when he was young. Following the driver's finger, Wang Zhong was stunned. Brother Ad was a middle-aged taxi driver in his 30s. He looked quite kind and was a little bald. This was very suitable for an ordinary citizen's appearance. There was no problem. The problem was that there was something floating behind him. Behind him, a long-haired woman tiptoed behind him. The woman was wearing white clothes. There was a hole in her forehead, and blood kept flowing out of the hole. Brother Ad. The driver in front of Wang Zhong shouted at Brother Ad. Brother Ad walked over with a cigarette in his mouth. Old Song, what's the matter? Brother Ad, I have a job for you. Old Song pointed at Wang Zhong and said, This little brother wants to go to the Tiantai district. Not going. Brother Ad shook his head. Brother Da, why don't you go? Wang Zhong asked with a smile full of meaning. That place is too remote. It's quite far from here. There's not even a street lamp. It's too dangerous. Brother Ad didn't mention anything about the dead person. After saying that, Brother Ad was puzzled. It's so late. Why are you going there for no reason? It's like this. I live there. Wang Zhong took out the key. Can you take me there? As Wang Zhong spoke, his eyes were already looking at the woman behind Brother Ad. Discovered spiritual body Zhang Qing. Age 67. Lifespan 67. Rage points 1. Spiritual body state. Today is the 7th day of her life. Today is her last night here. But she is reluctant to leave. Please let her go in peace. The status bar had clearly asked Wang Zhong to accept the job. Wang Zhong also understood that there were many states of otherworldly items. Although the rage points for the 7th day of her life were only 1, the task was mandatory. At the same time, the scene before the woman's death appeared in front of Wang Zhong. In front of him was a towering prison. Zhang Qing, who was not young anymore, had a high fever in the prison. She weakly lay on the bed and cried. Zhang Qing, are you okay? The prison doctor will be here soon. A sister in the prison said. I feel like I can't take it anymore. I miss my son so much. Don't think too much. When you're better, I'll take you to see him. It's useless. He won't come. I'm sorry for him. My son. My son. Shouda. Zhang Qing was holding a photo tightly in her hand. It was an old photo that was at least 30 years old. The background of the photo was an old-fashioned residential building. In the photo, a young and beautiful woman was holding a child. If one looked carefully, the child looked a little like Brother Da in front of them. Shouda. The woman didn't have any strength left because her time was up. Her arms slowly fell, and the photo fell to the ground. She was gone, but she still missed her only son in her heart. There might be some estrangement between them. That was why the woman had been in prison for so many years, but her son didn't visit her. In the end, he died alone. Little brother, I told you that I won't run to that place. Brother Da sighed, as if there was something he wanted to hide. Wang Zhong saw that Brother Da seemed to be hiding something, but he didn't say much. He nodded and said, Then you should think about it. As he said that, he looked at Zhang Qing. People could sense other people's gazes, and otherworldly items were the same. Zhang Qing noticed that Wang Zhong was looking at her. And she also realized that Wang Zhong wasn't an ordinary person. Please let her go back to the rooftop district, the woman said. Why? Wang Zhong was talking through his soul, so others couldn't see it. I don't want her to hate me forever. Okay. As an emissary of hell, he had the responsibility to let the otherworldly item leave peacefully on the 7th day. He didn't want any problems to happen on the night of the first 7 days. I can pay more. Wang Zhong then walked in front of Adgar and took out the 500 yuan he had just received. I've searched for it. If you want to take a normal taxi to that place, you'll only need around 40 yuan. The extra money here will be your overtime pay. Brother Da opened his mouth in surprise. He didn't expect this young man to be so generous. For the sake of money, he finally nodded. Okay, but I'll take you to the rooftop district. Chapter 486. The car was driving on the road. It was already past 10 o'clock, but there were still many cars on the road in the city. That place has almost been demolished. Friend, why are you still living there? Zhang De began to talk on the road. I don't have a place to live now, so my friend introduced me to that place. It seems to be in the suburbs. It's not far by car, so I went there. It's really close, but if it weren't for me, I'm afraid many people wouldn't know about it. Oh, why is that? Wang Zhong was a little puzzled. Because that community has been renamed. It's now called Lucky Cloud Community. And because it's been a long time, it's going to be demolished soon. Why did it change its name all of a sudden? Because something happened there. Zhang De took out a cigarette as he drove. Do you want to smoke? No. Wang Zhong looked at the woman sitting behind him and said, What happened there? I heard from those drivers that you live there too? Look at them. They seem to be afraid of that place. Well, there was a fire in that building before, and many people were burned to death. After that, Zhang De sighed. That's the only time I didn't live there. So it's haunted? Haunted. Zhang De seemed to have heard a joke and said, How can there be ghosts in this world? If there really is, I wouldn't have sent you there so late at night for this little money. Then what are they afraid of? Wang Zhong was very puzzled. Looking at those drivers, it seemed that they were really afraid of that place. That place is too remote, and the road is not good. Because there are many small alleys, it's easy to get lost there. I've lived there for a long time, so I'm familiar with the road. Of course, I'm most worried about accidents. There are many gangsters there, and there are many hidden casinos. If you drive in without familiarity, you'll be beaten up. Wang Zhong understood. After all that, those drivers didn't want to come over because they were worried about that. It seemed that he was thinking too much. By the way, you said that people were burned to death there. What exactly happened? Wang Zhong asked again. Seeing that Zhang De didn't seem to want to talk about that matter, Wang Zhong said again, I don't have any other intentions, I'm just curious. Zhang De nodded and said, Actually, there's nothing to hide. That incident was a man-made disaster. But it could also be haunted. Haunted? Well, it's like this. Zhang De began to narrate. 30 years ago, there was a night when 4 people suddenly broke into a house on the first floor. The 4 men were all wearing masks and holding machetes and other weapons in their hands. The leader had a gunshot wound on his shoulder and was not in good condition. This group of people were robbers. They had just robbed a gold shop and escaped here. Now the police were looking for them outside. This family was just an ordinary family of 3. The father, Zhang Bing, was a construction worker, and the mother was a housewife. They had a son. Originally, this was an ordinary family of 3. However, Zhang Bing was seriously ill and had to lie in bed all day. He relied on his mother to do odd jobs to make ends meet. The 4 robbers who suddenly broke in made the family panic. Fortunately, the 4 only wanted to rob and didn't want to kill. So the injured leader said that he would serve them food and drink for the next few days. When the trouble outside died down, they would leave on their own. This condition seemed to be very good, so the family of 3 let them live here. The police didn't expect that the 4 robbers would escape to someone else's house. They only checked some hotels, so they didn't find this place for a while. But no one expected that before the police could find them, the four robbers began to fight among themselves. The cause was that their leader had a gunshot wound, and the bleeding couldn't be stopped. Seeing that he couldn't hold on, the leader suggested going to the hospital, but the police outside were watching them. His other accomplices naturally refused. In the middle of the night, their leader finally couldn't hold on and died of blood loss. Naturally, the family of three was very worried about the death of someone in their house. But the robbers were cruel, and they weren't allowed to call the police. Days passed. The police even put up wanted posters outside the neighborhood to look for clues. But they didn't check the houses one by one. In the end, the police believed that the four robbers might have left long ago. 7 days passed. It was the 7th day of the robbers' leader's death. They asked the woman of the family to go out and buy some food for their leader's death. If she dared to call the police, they threatened the woman that they would kill her son. Of course, the woman didn't dare to call the police, so she went out to buy food. After buying the groceries, the woman started cooking. In the evening, the criminals drank some wine and talked about what had happened on the 7th day of the crime. Rumor had it that on the first 7 days, the dead would return to the place or person they missed the most. They were all wondering if their leader would come tonight. Just as he said that, one of the robbers suddenly saw a figure at the window. This figure was none other than their boss, who was currently glaring at him. "Ghost, it's haunted!" The robber jumped in fright and hurriedly tried to run away. But the others naturally didn't want to, so they stopped the robber. But the robber was like a madman, desperately trying to run away. There was no other way. A man with a scar on his face stabbed him fiercely. The robber didn't want to be outdone, and also started fighting. The other 2 robbers were brothers. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, they gave each other a look and prepared to take the gold for themselves. So they ran away. But just as they ran to the door, they were stabbed by the scar-faced man behind them. Although they were injured, none of them were fatally injured. Under the threat of death, everyone's desire to live burst out, and everyone began to wrestle with each other. At this point, Zhangde smiled and said, later as they fought, the family of 3 wanted to run away. But they forgot that something was still burning in the kitchen, so the fire grew bigger and bigger. It detonated the gas, and the fire engulfed the house. But fortunately, the mother and son escaped. What about the father? When he escaped, he was stopped by someone and finally died inside. Then Zhangde said regretfully, he was so close. Is that so? Coincidentally, I heard a new version of that story. Wang Zhong looked at the endless night outside and said tirelessly. In Wang Zhong's story, there were also 4 robbers who had escaped to this family's home. The difference was that the 2 brothers among the 4 robbers were actually the couple. The man was indeed an ordinary construction worker and was seriously ill. One night, the man said that he didn't have long to live. The woman suggested that before he died, they should do something big and rob a gold shop. That way, after he died, she could take care of his son. The man agreed, not for anything else, but for his son and wife to live a better life after he died. They found 2 fellow villagers to do the job. After the job was done, they went home and found out that they were wanted by the police through the news. So they suggested that they stay in the community and leave after the storm died down. The woman went out to buy their daily food and drinks. Just like the previous story, one of their accomplices also died from excessive blood loss. The remaining person was very scared. 7 days before his accomplice died, he seemed to see his accomplice in the mirror. He was very worried, thinking that his accomplice had turned into a ghost and returned, so he said that he wanted to leave quickly after splitting the money. However, the couple didn't agree. The situation outside was too tense, and they would be caught if they left at this time. However, the man didn't care and screamed very loudly. The couple was worried that his screams would attract the neighbors, so they attacked him. Unexpectedly, the man wasn't fatally injured. He began to resist. Something was burning in the kitchen, and the fire grew bigger and bigger. Finally, it ignited a natural gas explosion. The house was full of fire, and the couple's son was locked in the house and couldn't get out. The woman went back to the house to save her son, but when she came out, she found that her husband and his accomplice had died together in the sea of fire. In the end, Only the woman and her son escaped. When Wang Zhong was telling the story, Zhang De's lips trembled. He wanted to interrupt Wang Zhong, but he didn't know how. Wang Zhong finally finished. At the same time, the car entered a small road. The road was rugged, and the original cement road had become bumpy. The doors of the houses on both sides were closed, and the word demolished was written on every wall. We're here. Zhang De stopped the car. Go forward and turn right when you reach the end. That's Tiantai District. But there's no sign for Tiantai District now. It's Shangyun District. Okay. Wang Zhong nodded, but he didn't get out of the car. Instead, he looked at Zhang De and said, How's my story? I don't know. Today is the 7th day of that woman's death. Hearing this, Zhang De's hands trembled. 7th day of her death. Yes, she passed away in prison. Wang Zhong looked at the expressionless woman beside him and continued. Before she died, she missed someone very much. Who? Her son. Who the hell are you? Zhang De trembled and turned his head to look at Wang Zhong. Why? Why do you know about my family? It's been so many years. No one can know about this. Of course, this wasn't something Wang Zhong guessed. When Zhang De was telling the story, the woman told Wang Zhong the truth. Zhang De was the woman's son. That year, it was also this woman who planned the gold shop robbery, causing the deaths of everyone, and even caused the destruction of their family. After this incident, the woman was sentenced to life imprisonment. Zhang De was later taken to his aunt's family to be raised. However, this incident still left a huge shadow in Zhang De's heart. He didn't want to face the fact that his mother was a murderer and a robber. She was the one who killed so many people. For so many years, he didn't go to the prison to see his mother. Subconsciously, he didn't want to face the truth, so he changed the truth. He would rather believe that his parents were ordinary people who were killed. The woman beside Wang Zhong cried. Wang Zhong didn't hide his identity. He replied, I can see things that others can't. Now she's sitting beside me. Chapter 487. Zhang De raised his eyebrows in astonishment. His hands trembled as he gripped the steering wheel tightly. You're saying that my mother is right beside me. Don't worry. Tonight is her last night. She just wants to see you one last time. Qingyi chose to say this because there was no need to. There were many people in this world who liked to pretend to be mysterious. And some of them even made money by pretending to be mysterious. Since he had true abilities, why couldn't he rely on his own abilities to make a living? He could tell the truth and let others know of his abilities. He could earn money while doing business in the underworld. He wasn't afraid of being discovered by the relevant authorities. After all, there were many people in this world who pretended to be mysterious, and there were even some who did it live. The woman looked at Wang Zhong quietly and sighed. Thank you. It's fine. Wang Zhong responded. You've already seen your son. Have a good trip later. The woman nodded silently. Please tell my son that I've let his father down. I just want our family to live a better life in the future. Wang Zhong spoke up for the woman, and Zhang De burst into tears. Brother De, call her mother again. Wang Zhong said. Mother. At this moment, Zhang De was reminded of his childhood. Back then, his father's illness had left them with a lot of debts. They could only hide in the rooftop district, not daring to meet anyone. His father's illness was getting worse by the day, and he was also about to go to school. Thus, for his sake, his parents discussed a robbery. That night, he heard everything from the door. His parents had done all this for him. Shao to live a good life in the future. The woman's voice grew fainter and fainter, until it finally disappeared. Where's my mother? She's already gone. Wang Zhong replied truthfully as he watched the woman walk towards the door. Thump. Zhang De felt as though all his strength had been sucked out of him. I'm such a bastard. I should have gone to the prison to see her. Wang Zhong patted him on the shoulder and got out of the car. Wait. Zhang De called out to Wang Zhong. Master, thank you. I'm just serving the people. I can't take your money. Zhang De took out the 500 yuan from before, wiped his tears and said, all these years, I've been tangled up in my childhood, but now I've let it go. Thank you. Wang Zhong didn't stand on ceremony. He took the money and said, "When you go back, burn some paper money for your mother. She can receive it down there." Yes. After leaving this place, Wang Zhong could feel that after sending away a person who had just passed the 7th day, his yin energy had increased slightly, and his judgment had become even stronger. After turning a corner, he saw a signboard that read Lucky Cloud Residence. Half of the signboard was gone. Isn't this too shabby? Wang Zhong was speechless. The neighborhood in front of him was in a dilapidated state. There were piles of garbage all around, and not a single house in the entire building had their lights on. After asking the security guard, he found out that the water and electricity in this broken place had long been cut off. "Father-in-law, if I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have come here," Wang Zhong shouted in his heart. However, it was already late. He'd better rest first and find a better house tomorrow. "Young man, no one lives here anymore. There's nowhere to go. Are you sure you want to go up?" The security guard asked curiously. Wang Zhong was about to say something when he saw an old woman holding a child floating over. Then, the child climbed on the security guard's back. The security guard looked to be in his 50s. Suddenly, he felt a chill on his neck. He rubbed it uncomfortably and said, "Why do I feel uncomfortable all of a sudden?" Wang Zhong checked his rage points. The two of them only had around 30 rage points. Otherworldly items with less than 50 rage points couldn't hurt people. At the same time, Wang Zhong also saw the scene before the two of them died. They had been dead for only a year. The old woman had picked up a bowl of red braised meat that was supposed to be eaten by stray cats. She had put rat poison in it, and the two of them were poisoned to death. The person who had put the braised meat there was caught. However, the old woman had been angry at the security guard. She thought that if the security guard hadn't let people put food there, she wouldn't have died. That was why the two of them often came to trouble the security guard. Since he didn't have any rage points, Wang Zhong didn't have time to care about these things. Before leaving, he said to the security guard, "Sir, when you're free, you should buy an amulet. Perhaps your cervical vertebra will be cured." Then, Wang Zhong walked into the residential area. His father-in-law, Tang Mingze, had given him the key. The room was on the 3rd floor. Walking on the dark stairs, Wang Zhong saw many otherworldly items wandering around. After all, it was an old residential area. Many people had died here. Why is there a young man here? An old man tiptoed and pointed at Wang Zhong. "Yeah, I guess he's homeless. Poor guy. Give him the bill." Okay. A cold wind blew, and 100 renminbi bill flew in front of Wang Zhong. Is there such a thing? Wang Zhong was a little surprised. These two otherworldly items were so nice. Wang Zhong touched his face. He thought that this was the power of his temperament. Sure enough, after I became Li Jie, my temperament changed. I became more lovable. Wang Zhong pretended to be surprised. "Oh, why is there 100 renminbi bill? I'm so lucky. The one who dropped the money must be a good person." The two old men chuckled, looking very pleased with themselves. At this moment, a woman came down. "This building is going to be demolished. We're going to become lonely souls." Sigh. The two old men sighed together. They were obviously upset. The otherworldly items in this area lived in places with many living people. That was why they were smart and could talk to each other. However, these otherworldly items didn't give him any rage points, so he didn't have anything to talk to them about. He went upstairs directly. He opened the door. The furnishings in the room were good. There was a bed and a sofa. However, there was no electricity. "Let's just stay here for one night. We'll find a new house tomorrow." Wang Zhong fell asleep immediately. A cloud of dust rose from the sofa. Early in the morning, a gust of wind blew into the room. Wang Zhong opened his eyes. He saw that there was a hole in the window of the balcony. The sunlight from the outside shone in. Wang Zhong walked over and touched the sunlight outside. Sure enough, he couldn't feel any warmth on his arm. He rubbed his belly, but he still didn't feel hungry. However, he had been a human for a long time. If he didn't eat, he would feel empty, as if he had lost something. Besides the furniture, there was nothing else in the room. He wasn't used to living here. There was no one around either. It was really uncomfortable. Before leaving, Wang Zhong took out a piece of paper and a pen from the desk in the bedroom. He began to think about what to do next. First, he had become a living dead. He felt disgusted when he ate, but he didn't feel anything wrong when he drank water. Besides that, he looked just like an ordinary person. Subjectively speaking, when he absorbed the yin energy, not only did his soul become stronger, but his physical body also seemed to be stronger. This could be felt when he climbed the stairs, walked, and carried things. Wang Zhong sat in front of the desk and touched his heartbeat. There was a heartbeat. After all, the heart was the safeguard of the body. If the heart didn't beat, the body would soon rot and have livor mortis. Just as he was about to leave, Wang Zhong suddenly noticed some photos on the wall. These were photos of the two sisters, Tanya and Tanya. It seemed that the two sisters were still very young at that time. They lived together in this room and were laughing happily. In addition to the photos, there were many certificates of merit students. It was obvious that the two sisters had excellent grades since they were young. They were good students. How did Tanya become crazy? Wang Zhong was puzzled. There were many things that he needed to do now. First, he needed to make money. Only then could he ensure that he had the ability to achieve his next goal. Next, he needed to improve his business ability. Finally, he needed to find out the truth behind Tanya's madness. With the Tang family's status, if Tanya was really sick, the Tang family would do anything to treat her. Unfortunately, they did go to the hospital, but nothing was found. What happened to Tanya wasn't an illness. It was that she was missing 3 of her souls. Her 3 souls had been taken away by someone. After opening the door, Wang Zhong left the room. There were more otherworldly items in the corridor. It was because of the scorching sun outside. Ordinary otherworldly items couldn't stand this kind of sunlight. That young man left. What a Western-style young man. His temperament is not bad. Poor thing. He's so young. I guess he must be poor to live here. Sigh. When he reached the entrance of the corridor, he saw several old women holding some joss sticks and burning joss paper. Old man, you should live a good life in hell. Old man, take this phone and watch. Alright. This is the manual. If you don't know how to use it, you can read it. There were some photos where the joss paper was burned. They were the photos of the old men who were chatting in the corridor. Wang Zhong stopped because he was surprised to see that after the joss paper, the phone, and the clothes were burned, they suddenly drilled into the hands of the otherworldly items. Then, the otherworldly items crouched next to the joss paper and started to eat. So otherworldly items like these things. Wang Zhong was surprised. Wang Zhong walked to the main road. During the day, there were some taxis in the area. After getting in the car, Wang Zhong turned on his phone and browsed through some information about renting houses. The houses he browsed were cheap. It would be best if someone had died before. That way he would have more opportunities to do business. Eventually Wang Zhong found a good place. The other houses in this neighborhood cost 3,000 to 4,000 a month, but this one only cost 1,500. Why was it cheap? Because there were ghosts. Wang Zhong looked for the contact number in the information below. After saving it, he asked the driver to go to this place. Here. The driver looked at the place Wang Zhong told him and muttered, "Young man, you want to rent a house? You need to think about this place." Wang Zhong was interested. "What do you mean?" "I heard it from other drivers. Someone died in this neighborhood. It was a male tenant. It seemed that there was a gas leak in the bathroom. The tenant's friend found it a few days later. Accidental death." "Yeah, let's go there." The driver was speechless. Even after Wang Zhong got out of the car, the driver was still in a daze. He muttered in his heart, "So strange." Wang Zhong called the landlord. The landlord wasn't a beautiful and arrogant woman. He was an old man who was very smart. He didn't tell Wang Zhong that someone had died in the house. He only told him that the place was cheap because he didn't have to take care of anything that broke in the house. Wang Zhong walked into the house. Surprisingly, it was better than he had imagined. It had everything he needed, and the bed was soft and warm. It was a good place to stay. Also, there was a handsome man lying in the bathtub. As soon as Wang Zhong walked in, The handsome man licked his lips. He was extremely overbearing. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.